Scotty, beam me up.
Alright, captains. Hello, hello. We're early, but that's okay. We're early because we gotta make sure things are somewhat ready-ish-esque. I see some captains here. Zilla, hello, how are you?
Captain on the bridge.
Oh, I guess I'm early. I'm gonna just wait and ride and exercise. Such a good thing. Benjamin Green Chisenel, hello, how are you, sir?
Captain on the bridge.
So hopefully my audio is coming across clear. Hopefully. And we already actually had a little bit of testing done with Matt. But where's my, oops, that's not what I want to do. Where's stuffs? Oh, where's the things? Where is the things? That's not it. Okay, there you go. Jeez, that's scary. That was Iskari for a second, Iskari. Okay, what's up? You're good. You're good to hear. Thank you so much, Zilla. Thank you for joining us today. So how does OBS look right now? Okay. So we're gonna be on a little bit here and just chatting. I think is the best because there's gonna be no Star Trek. There's gonna be no Star Trek Online right now because this is not Star Trek Online. This is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, like 100%. X, sir, how you doing?
Admiral, if you will come with me.
On fifth lap on bicycling. Nice! Look at that, he's gonna be working out. So, captains, there's less than 20 minutes until we have our new friend here on, and it will be Matt Capocci. Terrible no stow stream. Wow. Okay, well, sir, hello.
Admiral, if you will come with me.
Triz, you scared me. How did I scare you, Kiwi? How are you doing?
Admiral, if you will come with me.
How am I scaring you? That doesn't make sense. Me scaring you. How did I do this? Oh, that's what I did. Duh, derp. Derpity derp 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 derp. Nice. Okay, cool. I clicked plan your Discord link like 3 hours ago. Forgot. All right, close Discord. Oh. Nice. Okay, captains. So again, what we're gonna pretty much do the same thing we did the last time when we had Bruce here too. Is and blasting in the ears. Warp core will be charged in 17 minutes, right? And we're gonna treat the interview segment portion like a YouTube video. Now, depending on Matt's time, we want to make sure that we're respectful of his time. It's not like a hard limit, a time limit, but we don't want to keep him too long. And I think he would be open to questions. I would say don't put any questions in the chat just yet until we say, you know, if there are any questions. He's open to ask, or he's open to answer some questions, he said. The only thing, of course, he won't be able to do is obviously just not answer what he can't answer. So that's a bit new, but we talked prior to this, and he was quite okay with that. Hmm? Where did that go? Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, oh. Hold on. This is why we're doing this, to make sure that we have... I wonder what happens here if I do this. Okay, well that was K-Caps. Give me a sec here. Warp core, my speed when I cycle. Is warp 2? One sec. Give me a sec, Caps. We'll be right back.
Scotty, beam me up.
Things and such happen. And this is why we test it. This is why we test it. Okay. PC pre-combat, check PCI, pre-combat inspection. You're stuck in a quantum singularity. So yes, we will try to see if we can have a chance to ask questions. He is open for it. He doesn't mind it. So that will be... we may have to do a quick switch of that back and forth, but that shouldn't be an issue. But I just feel that this is the best way for us to do this, so... maybe I should change that title. Not the one on YouTube. Trust you do the questions because I don't know what to ask. Oh, well, I mean, if there's something that pops in your head. But again, hold them until the very end there. And he's gonna be okay with that. No, I feel like I should just change this. Hold on. Edit stream info. And interview. There you go. Let's just do that. Update that. Name of that stream there. Shane Wilkinson, hello, sir. Captain, how you doing?
Captain on the bridge.
I'm doing well. How about you? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. I'm getting a little nervous. we are about to go speak to the assistant editor for Strange New Worlds. Live on Twitch? Yes, both. But we're in the just chatting section because it feels like that should be. I don't know. What do you think we should be? Star Trek Online or? Because I mean, it's still Star Trek, right? The only question is when will Strange New Worlds collide with the original? See, ooh, Zilla, that's a good question. It's a very good question. Because I feel like we would get probably more captains. Actually, you know what? This is what we're gonna do quickly. Good, bud. By the way, it is. Oh, Bell. Oh, Bell. Yes, sir. Hello, Bell. There is a ship from Starship, so we're gonna try this. Okay. We're just gonna go online quickly, and then we will switch. Okay, we'll switch after. You're right. There is a Star Trek ship there. When Kirk becomes captain, yeah. CJ, hello. How are you?
Captain on the bridge.
Don't do that to me, Cables. Don't do that to me. Don't. Okay, I put it on there. So, captains, if you're just joining us right now, just to let you know, again, this is how it's gonna go. We are gonna be live with SilverMedalTavern, aka Matt Capocci, and he'll probably correct me because I'm gonna ask him how to say his name, who is the assistant editor from Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And I do have a set of questions for him, so I'm going to treat that as like an interview, like we're on YouTube, like it's a recording. And then we are going to leave it up at the end there to have some questions asked. So don't ask him yet in chat. And I'm not going to be ignoring. Actually, here, I'll put this up. I won't be ignoring chat, but I want to make sure that, you know, this interview is going to be about asking him all the questions and such, so that I can get my questions in, and we'll try to make so that everyone can get questions in as well. And yes, there's gonna be a woohoo. I feel like my voice is a little better there. Chat commands, timers. Let's put this timer on here, and then I'll turn that off when we need to. He's probably thinking, why am I not here? So I'm gonna start this like any sort of other video. And then just go, because I know probably there will be some that won't be able to show, won't be able to come along and see this now live. But we're going to try and treat this like a video so they can just kind of follow along later. Amanda, hello, how are you?
Captain on the bridge.
Thank you for joining. Matthew, hello, sir. How are you? Macho.
Admiral, if you will come with me.
So you might see him pop on screen right here, like right away, but let me just go do that. Yeah. Matthew, Robert Adams, hello, how are you?
Captain on the bridge.
Okay, so 5 minutes left. One more time, captains, if you're joining us, thank you so very much for joining us here for this interview with Matthew Capocci. Pocket us and wait till Yeah, no, in 5 minutes we're gonna start. I'm gonna treat it like a recording / video, and we're just going to see how that goes. Usually that's how it is. So again, I don't want to, Belle, thank you for switching to Twitch. Doesn't really matter, whatever you're comfortable. I don't want to make anyone think that I'm ignoring chat, but someone wasn't getting texting. But it will be, like I said, very like the interview we did with Bruce. So again, we will make sure that we have questions asked at the end, even if a little bit. I will read them directly to them, but don't put them in chat yet until we say so. So here we go. We got about 4 minutes left. And then we're going to, hopefully this works. Just like it did last time. Which is weird because I thought it was going to go anyways, but as long as you captains can hear me, I'm happy. I have my questions here set, right? Yes, I do, right there. Right there. The last video with Bruce kind of started, he just kind of popping in while I was typing. That was hilarious, but I thought that was pretty funny. Thought that was pretty funny. And of course, Augie got one last little word in there. Augie, sir, hello, how are you? All right, here we go. Here we go.
Scotty, beam me up.
Alrighty, captains, we are back on the bridge. How are you, Caps?
Captain on the bridge.
So, today, quite an exciting day, we will be doing an interview with Matthew Capocci, and he'll totally correct me if I said that wrong. He is the assistant editor for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And I'm super, super excited for this, for him to come join us here on the bridge, where we'll ask him some questions and really just get to know him, and we'll tell the story of how we actually met Matthew once he gets on the bridge. So what we're going to do is I have a set of questions. Then after, because we are doing this live, if there are any questions from the viewers, from my fellow captains, we will see if we have enough time, but we want to be respectful this time, of course, so that, because he actually has a stream. So is that Matthew?
Hello.
It is. Yes, let's go.
I was really scared because I was trying to get in the room and Zoom was like, installing update, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Like the worst time to do this. What
a time to do so. Matthew, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Very exciting. It is, and it was so weird. If you'll allow me, before we start, I'll tell the story of how we sort of met. And correct me if I'm wrong, just to make sure, because I am old and I forget. I tend to forget things. So.
Oh, you know what? Before we do any correcting, I never did tell you what my last name was. So how to say it? It's Capocci. Think of cappuccino. That's okay. Everybody gets it wrong, so it's fine.
What did I
So-
just say? I said he'll correct me if I'm wrong. It's
I was
Capocci.
no, yes,
Capocci.
but Capocci, yeah. If you're thinking
Capocci,
like a cappuccino, it's very, very Italian.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a crack at my last name. You see it there on the screen. How do you say my last name?
Wait, Villamarin?
Oh,
Is that
that's
is it close?
that's close. Now, because of its sort of Spanish origins, it's Villamarin.
Ah,
But kind of the same thing with your last name. So there we go. See, this is how it starts. This is how it starts.
I'm terrible with names.
No,
and
no.
I'm even worse with Twitch names.
Oh
I'm
my
like
gosh.
the king. I'm the king of mispronouncing Twitch names. So
Speaking of Twitch, again to the story that we were gonna share with everyone on how we met.
Yes.
So one day, I was streaming Star Trek Online, and all of a sudden we received a raid, and I was, of course, jump scared as usual because that's how it happens, and I believe you had said something to the effect in chat, because I think we were talking about Strange New Worlds at the time when you came in, and
you had Strange New Worlds in your title of
Did
your
I?
stream.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
That's why I rated you.
No, so and then I actually went back to watch your VOD and if again, correct me if I'm wrong, you were actually looking for someone to raid, like no one's on. And then you were kind of just searching and looking, and then you think, who's this guy? Try Xander?
Try Xander.
And then that's how you met. And then in the chat you said, I believe that's when you said you were one of the assistant editors? Correct? Yeah, for Strange New Worlds. And of course I don't stream normally with a face cam, so you didn't see my face, but my reaction was,
Oh no, you know what it was? It was one of the people in chat from my group. Because a lot of them follow me around. They follow my IMDb page, and they're always trying to see what show. They know me from The Good Place, because that's kind of when I started streaming, was kind of after that. So, and that's kind of a lot of my audience, they know me from The Good Place, and then they kind of search. They kind of keep track of what shows I'm going to next.
No.
And I think it was somebody in chat from my side that was like, "Hey, guess what? He works on Strange New Worlds," and that's when.
Okay, there you go.
And that's when you lost it, and it was amazing.
I lost it. I lost it because, yeah, and then again, the reason why I did respectfully, of course, ask for this because I have been loving Strange New Worlds. Now we're going to talk about a lot of that later. We're going to talk about a lot of that later. But so the plan is I have a set of questions to ask you, and I want to be respectful of your time. We may have to reset again, but just let me know if we're going over. But we have set a time.
No
for
worries.
this. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask you, I know we kind of delved into a little bit here, and then after the series of questions, there may be some questions for you, if that's okay. From our viewers. So we'll see how that goes. So I want to start off with tell us about yourself.
Nothing crazy. I'm just originally from Ohio, and I've always wanted to pursue a career in TV and film editing on the post-production side, as a picture editor. And there's not really a lot of that kind of work in Ohio or the Midwest. There's a lot of stuff in production, a lot of stuff that gets shot in there, Cleveland, Georgia, so all those places, but there's not a lot of post, usually the hub is always Los Angeles, just in Hollywood. So I figured, I want to move to Los Angeles and just kind of pursue this career as editing. And I've always been surrounded by entertainment. It's my family, my parents, my sister, myself, we're all theater actors. I've done musical theater for 16 years, and I love acting, but there was something about editing. They're just doing the storytelling aspect of it which I always really loved. And, you know, as I got older, I was acting less, and then I wanted to go into more of like the editing. So in 2000, I bought my own computer system, and I bought like Adobe Premiere, which was, I think at the time was like 4.5. It was just like super old. Like you had to render, like nothing was in real time. Like you had to render everything. And it was so annoying. Like even like a simple fade from black or transition, it was like a 2-minute render or something stupid. It's like, what is this? So, you know, I just kind of like bought my own machine because, you know, college was just really expensive. You know, it was kind of too expensive, and film school is like even more expensive. And it's like 100 plus thousand to go to film school. And I couldn't afford that. So I just kind of self-taught everything, bought my own computer, bought my own hardware, software, and just kind of started with, you know, just doing like experimental shorts, or, you know, just kind of making my own trailers, you know, just kind of like capturing like a whole film and then cutting like a trailer out of it or something like that. Just keep getting practice and stuff like that. And then eventually I started working as an editor for a local production company, making like commercials and, you know, corporate videos and stuff like that. And then, you know, I moved out to Los Angeles, and, you know, unfortunately, you could be like an editor for 10 years, but if you don't have New York or LA on your resume, it just kind of like, they kind of want to go for like people who are working in, you know, those two locations. So it was really hard to try and get work out here, you know, without that on your resume. But fortunately, you know, after going through a ton of interviews, you know, a commercial company, you know, picked me up, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like, we love your work." And I was like, "Oh, this is really great." And, you know, I just kind of started with that. I worked on a lot of like commercials, and then I moved over to theatrical trailers for a couple years. And, you know, after doing that, I actually got the hours needed to work in network television, since it's, you know, basically union. Not all shows are union. Some shows are union, some shows are not union, but like the majority of the narrative shows, you know, the not reality shows, they're usually union. So you have to get in the union for that, and you have to actually get your hours. And fortunately, working on theatrical trailers, because it's being like broadcasted in theaters, you know, it counted, and I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, well, this is cool. So I had my hours, and, you know, and for 10 years now, I've been working in network television, just on like numerous shows. And that's kind of like my, you know, career of how I got out here. And then, and also you can tell in the background, you know, I'm also like a big video game board gamer. And, I also have a Twitch channel called the SilverMedalTavern. And I just, you know, play board games, sometimes video games, but yeah, I'm just like a really chill person, you know. I love entertainment. I love movies. I love board games, video games, and stuff. And, you know, that's kind of like me in a nutshell. There's really not much more exciting.
We'll get to that, but there is plenty more exciting, trust me. Now, you mentioned something there just now, something about editing and storytelling. So for me,
Yes.
because I don't know a lot of how that works in behind the scenes, because what I get to see as a viewer is whatever's on, you know, on the screen. So when I'm watching something, I just, in my mind, isn't that how it is, right? Like, just, isn't that just like one shot or whatever, or cutting pieces? Like, how does the editing storytelling aspect work? Because you said you loved storytelling through editing. Like, what does that actually mean by putting, like, you probably get a bunch of footage, and then how do you?
Yeah, we basically get a ton of footage. They basically shoot every day for, you know, like about 12 days or so, just depending on what show, you know, you're on. Sometimes it's more. If it's a film, you know, they'll shoot even more days. And basically you just get a bunch of footage. They call them dailies. And we basically get all that footage, and we kind of organize it. Me being the assistant editor, we organize a lot of that footage for the editor to put together. And it's like, yeah, unless you're shooting like a movie like Birdman or something, where it's just like it's just a oneer throughout the entire film or something. But a lot of it, we just get a lot of stuff. It's all shot out of order. So, and then we just kind of like combine it together, and it's, editing it's always been fascinating, just editing for me. When I was growing up, I got into editing mostly because of my yaya, which is grandmother in Greek. I'm Greek Italian, and my yaya, she was like one of the first people to own like a consumer VHS VCR. It was like back in the 80s, and it was like the machines were huge, ginormous. They had these like ginormous like mechanical buttons, like you click play and rewind and start, and it's just like seriously, they were monstrous buttons. But she would record everything on like the HBO, Showtime, the movie channel, Cinemax. You just record tons of movies. And I kid you not, she had about like over 3,000 VHS tapes, and they were all set on extended play. So she had like 4 movies on each tape.
Jeez.
And it was just, it was like this behind me, but VHS tapes. And it was like in multiple rooms, and it was just like, it was insane. It was like a video store. And, just growing up, all I did was just watch films constantly. And what was really interesting about her recording style, she never really knew what movie she was recording. She was like, oh, this is a movie, Beverly Hills Cop, whatever. And she was just like, all right, we're just going to record it. But she didn't realize that we were going to be watching this stuff. And she was like, well, I don't know what this is. What's the content of this? So what she would do is, if ever they were like swearing, or if there was like nudity or anything that was definitely like not appropriate for a child, she would pause it and start it again after the gratuitous violence, swearing, whatever. But the best part was, she couldn't anticipate when that was going to happen in the film. So what happened was, the character would come in and they would just drop an F-bomb or something. And then all of a sudden, right afterwards, the screen clips were in a completely different scene. Like the tracking's all messed up. The rainbow lines are everywhere. So you could tell she like paused it and unpaused it, but her timing was off. And that was like happened. I've grew up with tons of movies that were like that. And then growing up, watching the complete movies of these, I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually like take scenes out or put them back in, or just like this, just because these complete versions and stuff. And I think that's what kind of got me into like editing, is like the idea that you can like trim the fat of something, if you don't want something in there, you can kind of cut it. And it's amazing when you cut it, it almost tells like a completely different story sometimes, like losing complete scenes. So that's kind of where like my love for editing kind of came into play. And, and it's kind of like that in like a lot of shows and movies. It's like a lot of times we cut a show or a film like much longer than it's intended to be, and we just kind of like take out scenes, take out like maybe just some like lines there. They're just kind of like slowing the scene down or something, and we just kind of like do these lifts, and I think like it's almost like editing is like creating music. It has a pacing to it. And, you can tell when you're watching it if something's just like too long or too cutty, and it's just, you're trying to like add stuff, take stuff out to just try and get this really nice, like fluid form of storytelling. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like how I really got into it. Sorry, that was like a very, very long, long answer to something like that.
No, for me, I actually enjoy that because it makes sense. Because there's always those sort of when something's released afterwards on a DVD or something, or a documentary of the movie, the deleted scenes, right? Mm-hmm. And you said something there, was you have this hour-plus long movie that has a bunch of, and you start trimming things. Like, to me, as someone, as a viewer, I'm like, man, why not just leave it there? But you're saying it kind of almost changes sometimes could change the direction or a meaning of a scene and all that stuff. And, picking and choosing that, I, I, I would think is sort of difficult, no? Or do you have something?
Yeah. Well, it's like, sometimes you watch a lot of like movies and they release like director's cuts and they have deleted scenes in them. I mean, Star Trek's a great example. I mean, there's a lot of deleted scenes in some of the special editions that they put back in. Wrath of Khan being a great example of stuff that they added back. Undiscovered Country, they added a couple scenes back in that I thought they were really good. And then sometimes, you watch deleted scenes and it's just like, oh, there's just something about this just isn't working, and sometimes it's really funny. An example, it's not Star Trek related, but have you ever seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the old Kevin Costner Robin Hood?
Yes.
It's the theatrical version and the director extended cut. They are very different. Like when you add those scenes back in of the sheriff being like the son of the witch, so she raises him, and it becomes a little bit more silly. Like Alan Rickman's like characters, like Alec Rickman's characters, like a little bit more a silly sheriff, like with all those scenes added back in, versus like when all those scenes were taken out, it really changed like his character, like the way his character is. His character's like not as goofy as he is like with the whole sea story of like the witch that actually really raised the sheriff of Nottingham and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of better with that stuff out. So sometimes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it's just always like really hard to figure out like when to take scenes out, when to leave them back in, or when's it working, when's it not working. And it's just kind of watch it. But yeah, sometimes, unless this is like for pacing, it's like a lot of times, you could take stuff out and making it shorter helps it flow a lot more, because sometimes if the same things seem too long, then you just kind of drift away from the story, and like your attention just starts to drift a little bit. And sometimes you just need to like kind of trim that fat in the cut to just kind of help like move the story along, and you just keep your excitement up and make sure there's no like lulls in anything. So
actually that makes a lot of sense, because with the previous formats of, let's say, Star Trek Discovery, the whole long story arc, a lot of recurring themes I see from discussions of that are things dragged on too long. That could have just been one episode. That could have just been X. And that makes sense now. Because again, to me, I don't really quite in the inners, and this is why I thought this would be so interesting, because not only do you have your hands on in that process behind the screen, but you kind of are part of having the story flow, right? Making sure that it flows, makes sense, and not drag on too long. And that's one thing that I noted down here while you're talking, because pacing, especially for Strange New Worlds, for me, I have found was just on point. Like even though we'd be going through one scene after another, it didn't feel too long, it didn't feel too short, and then by the whole wrap up of the episode, it was just no,
it's perfect. We have incredible editors. Our editors on this show are just top notch. They're the best. They're so good at editing this show, and it's great because we've seen these episodes like 50 times at this point, and they never go old for us. It's like we could watch these episodes like 100 times, and sometimes we do. And it's like it never gets tiresome. I mean, we have the editors on this show are just excellent, and they're amazing to work with.
And so how big is the team? You say editors, how big is
a lot of
I just think of
yeah, a lot of and a lot of single cam shows in the industry are usually like 3-team shows. Sometimes there's less. Usually, if it's like a sitcom, if it's like a 30-minute sitcom, sometimes they'll have 2 teams. But usually, like the hour-long shows are usually about a 3-team group, because it's a lot to cut an hour episode. If it's just one editor cutting 10 hour-long episodes, that's a lot of work.
Right.
That's a lot of work for one editor. So they split up a lot. That we have multiple teams, and usually the first team usually works on the the first episode and the last episode, and then the other two teams just kind of there's a nice even distribution between the other teams. So,
well, I mean, I know probably not gonna be able to talk about all the innards and outers of that, but I just thought it was really interesting to touch on that because, again, this is why I wanted to have the discussion with you, because I don't understand it, but it sounds like it is a huge part in telling a story. And
yeah,
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. The Strange New Worlds has kept me engaged throughout beginning to end, and a lot of it has to do with, I guess now, if you think about it, the editing, because you're.
Oh, it's like a combination. But I mean, but it's a combination of so many. I mean, there's, it's excellent writing. It's just production value. It's, editing. It's music. The VFX work. I mean, there's so many people on this show that just do amazing work, and that's just it's never like one department that just carries like the whole show. It's just everyone just working in unison, working together, working like a starship.
Yeah.
It's like everyone has to do their duties and their work, and they all do excellent work. It's just amazing. And then when you see the final product, you're just blown away by it. I even though I've seen the shows like so many times, every time when I see them air and I watch them, I just get this wave of just excitement. And it's funny because it's like, why am I getting this wave of excitement? I already know this episode so well. And it's like, well, it's like now it's like you see it fully colored and, it's fully mixed, and it's just all the VFX are final, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's a gorgeous show.
I mean,
love
Bruce spoke to that actually. Like, he didn't know how it was gonna be because it was like a year at this point, right? Like what you were kind of saying. So, but then one of the questions I asked him, "What's your favorite show?" which we're gonna go into in a sec here. He said, "Strange New Worlds." I was like, what? And I'd have to agree with him. So, like, again, I'm trying not to fanboy too much over it, but I can't help it. I don't know.
Oh, you're fine.
I don't know what compelled me to cover from doing nothing of that type of sort of commentary or doing videos on those things to just doing them from the character trailers, the trailer before the series, and then my sort of version of review and reacting to them. It's just it's been so good. Everything has been. I said when I was covering the character trailers, if this was all the good bits that they showed of all the characters, I'm done. I'm sold. Everything else from the episode would just be bonuses. But that's how good I think even just the trailers were done for me personally.
Oh, and hats off to our promo department and the marketing department. There are some amazing trailers that they've been releasing. It's so good, and we watch them almost immediately when we see them hit like Twitter or something, and we just kind of we shared the video around, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at this trailer. It's like so good. Yes, we get our promo and marketing department, they're really like killing it with the promos and trailers and everything. It's really great.
Now, going to Star Trek, this is what I did with Bruce, and we're gonna do the same thing with you, sir. I have a series of questions that you just have to answer whatever first comes to your mind.
Oh my goodness.
So good luck.
First comes to my mind.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So good luck. There's no wrong answer. Well, maybe. We'll see. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Favorite Star Trek series?
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be TNG. It's mostly TNG because, that's when I really started to understand, what Star Trek was and, what it was all about. And, because it was very close between TNG and TOS, because technically I started with TOS, and I watching TOS, I didn't really understand what was happening because I was probably about 6 when I started watching TOS, and I was watching like some weird episodes. Like I was watching like Cat's, like I think like Cat's Paw, and what are some of the other like insane episodes that I was watching that I never really like understood them. Anyways, it was just a lot of like weird, almost like Spock's brain or something like that. I was like, what is this show? It was like The Naked Time, Miri, like the Man-Eater. And I was just like, wow, this show is kind of crazy, kind of scary, because I didn't really understand what was happening. But then once I started watching like TNG, I was much older, and then I was like really understanding the show. And then I actually went back and I binged through like TOS. But I think TNG is always going to be my favorite show, just because they had so many episodes. It's like wonderful episodes. It was like 170 some episodes or something insane. So they win by numbers. I do I want to say Strange New Worlds, and but it's, I did grow up with TNG like through, so it is my favorite, and then Strange New Worlds is my second.
There you go. At least that's in there. Okay, now favorite Starship.
Oh, favorite Starship? It's probably a go-to for a ton of people. I mean, I'm gonna say that I was gonna say the TNG Enterprise, because I love that ship, because I grew up loving TNG. But I'm actually going back to the original NCC 1701, because what our VFX department is doing with the ships in Strange New Worlds, the Enterprise looks so beautiful. And that opening main title, where it's just powering up, it's basically like Star Trek the Motion Picture when Kirk sees the Enterprise after like 20 years, and it's like 10 minutes of just powering up the Enterprise and just coasting around it. I mean, it's, that main title is so smartly created that it's just, I'm starting to love the original ship again. And I think the original ship is now bumped up over the Enterprise D. But I will say this. It's probably in my top 3, and I don't know what kind of Enterprise this is, but in All Good Things, TNG, Riker's ship, when it like decloaks and it just comes out and it just melts all those Klingon ships. That, I don't know what ship that is, because I know what seeing your Star Trek Online stuff, that you seem very knowledgeable as far as like the ships go. Like the ships are kind of like, you seem to be very into the ships. So I was like, maybe you might know what that ship is, and that ship has probably never been put into commission, but that ship was bonkers. It cloaked, it just destroyed everything. It had this weird, like, almost like a lance shape. It had a third nacelle. I was like, what is going on with this ship? It's completely OP.
It is in Star Trek Online. It's classified as a dreadnought, but it's also called as the Galaxy X, because all it is
Galaxy X.
Okay. Galaxy X. All they did was add a lance and a third nacelle and some fins and some cannons. It was weird.
It's gorgeous.
Sure, I'll take it. I'll take it. That ship is up there as well for me, but I'd say that scene in All Good Things resonated with me, because it was just uncloaking episode. And then literally melting the Klingons. Yes.
Yeah.
So your favorite ship is the original series, Connie, right?
Original series is now bumped up back to the top because of Strange New Worlds, and then Enterprise D, and then probably coming in third, Riker's OP ship. So
perfect. Okay, now your favorite number 1.
Oh, favorite number 1. It's probably Riker.
Riker? Okay.
Yeah, he's got so many cool things, like things that he does. Sitting in chairs, and
that's what Bruce said.
Oh, really? I think that's what everybody says. It's like, how he sits in chairs. No, one thing I really loved about Riker, it's like he always had these like great looks. Like every time he like looked in the monitor or something, he just had this like really good stares, and it's almost like you would see like his lower eye like twitch like a little bit. He was just like, he's like Riker just shot these like great looks. at the camera, which was great. No, I love Riker. Beard or beardless, it's like Riker's. He's always been my favorite number one. It's gonna be funny. I'm gonna be like gravitating towards a lot of TNG stuff.
You're gonna be like me. Okay, so I may have to switch the order of this one. How about your favorite tactical officer?
What is tactical officer like?
Think of
tactical officers?
Think of La'an.
But are technical officers and security officers the same thing? Like, does the security officer and the tactical officer control the guns? Because I feel like that's what Chekhov did. Like, Chekhov, I think, was the security officer, and he was like in the movies. And he was like in control of like the torpedoes and everything. But yeah, tactical officer. I mean, I gotta say Worf. I love Worf, and I feel sorry for Worf too, because Worf gets shot down more than any character in Star Trek. Anytime Worf recommends something, and usually like his recommendations sometimes aren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like, I suggest we blow them up. Just like, no, yeah, this is a terrible idea, Worf. But no, poor Worf gets shot down a lot. But I do really like him as a tactical officer.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be Worf. Wow, TNG is getting a lot of them right now.
No, I feel that. Okay, so now favorite doctor.
This one's tough. Favorite doctor. Oh man. Favorite doctor. Oh boy. The doctor's really tough, actually. I love McCoy. But right now I'm really loving Benga like a lot. Babs is a fantastic actor, and I've been kind of following a lot of other films that he's been a part of, and I really love how he is as this character, and he has actually become like my favorite now. And I'm gonna say like maybe second McCoy, but I really like Mbenga like a lot. I've just been really impressed with this character.
I would have to also probably think of that one, because Mbenga is quickly becoming just what's getting me is his tone.
Yeah.
It's that there's a grit in his voice, and when he's speaking to you, it's like it's such a, I don't know, like a fatherly wisdom is all I can really think of. And especially maybe the reason why, of course, is how his character development has gone. But
there's been a lot of really emotional moments with his character too, just with like episode 8, that is just the whole I mean, just that whole just everything that character is just going through with his daughter was just heartbreaking. Putting your daughter in the pattern buffer, trying to find a cure, potentially finding a cure in episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just there's a lot of feels.
Oh my gosh, there was so much
stories.
Feels. My face was leaking, but my face always leaks when it comes to that. Okay, so this is where you have to be careful, sir. No, I'm just kidding. Favorite engineer?
Oh,
careful.
I know it.
Careful.
It is Hemmer.
Then
it
okay.
is. It is Hemmer. No, it is Hemmer. And I have a whole thing on like why Hemmer is like my favorite character. But let's get through the other favorite. No, Hemmer was my favorite. It's like we're like episode 9 now, and it's just like, I know that wound is fresh for a lot of people because it just happened. But for now everyone knows like the set pain and sadness I've been going through for a year.
Oh, close that.
No, Hemmer. I love Hemmer. I love all the, I love a lot of the engineers. Like I love Trip. I love Chip was really great too. I really love Trip from Enterprise. I was always a huge fan of Scotty. But yeah, it's just Hemmer is currently my favorite. It's always like favorites are really hard to answer for like something like Star Trek. Star Trek is such an ocean of, of just stuff. Yep. And it's like, it's so hard. It's like when people ask me like behind me, like, what's your favorite board game? It's like, I can never really say. I have like 300 board games behind me. I can never really tell. I'm always 300? On like some kind. Yeah, there's 2 other ginormous shelves like this, like back yonder. And it's like, that has always been a hard question, like on something that's like really big, it's like, and I think it's always on rotation. Like the favorites are always on a rotation at some point, who knows, maybe 5 years down the road, Hemmer will be rotated out by, Scotty, or maybe Trip or somebody. So
it's a moving target.
It's always changing. It's always changing. But currently, Hemmer is my favorite.
We're going to circle back to that one, sir. Last one. No. Favorite episode and why?
Favorite episode. It's got to be TNG. There's 2 very close ones tied for second, or tied for first. Sorry, I say second because I'm the SilverMedalTavern and I'm like really into second place. Sorry. Hey. So probably TNG. A Matter of Honor, which is the episode where Riker goes over to the Klingon ship and he serves on a Klingon ship for a little bit, and then there's like the organism that's like eating away the plating of the Enterprise and the Klingon ship, and the captain thinks that it was sabotage and all this stuff. And I really, really enjoy that episode a lot, as well as Who Watches the Watchers is another one of my favorites. That is the one where they're observing like a Bronze Age of the race of Vulcans, or an offshoot of the Vulcans, and they get discovered, and one of the people not dies, but he's basically like pretty much mortally wounded. And they beam him onto the Enterprise. They treat him. He wakes up during the operation. He sees Picard, and he thinks Picard is like this godlike figure. He's like, "Oh, the Picard!" And then they beam him back down, and they kind of failed at erasing his memory. And that's really great, because I love that episode, because you get a lot of really great performances from Patrick. Just it's that whole, like, when he just flips out when the guy says, "Well, you're gonna have to walk around pretending to be a god now," and he's just like, no. No. And it's I just love that episode, and just how they put someone up, because you have to imagine, like, how would you feel like if you got like beamed on like this on this ship of this race of people that just are these creatures who are just so technologically advanced, and it's like, what would you just think? Your mind would be blown. And I think that's just what I love about that episode. It's just like being in that moment, where she was the character, I can't remember what her name was, but when Picard beams her up and it's like, here's our ship, here's your planet, I'm not a god, I'm just I'm a captain of this starship, we're a bunch of explorers, and it's just so hard for her not to be like, "Oh, you're the greatest thing in the universe." And it's just, I love that episode so much. And then in the end, You're all good.
Scotty, beam me up.
Okay. Back.
Technical difficulties. We'll just leave it up to that. Sorry.
No, you know what it is? Zoom isn't letting now that the pandemic isn't as crazy bad as it was before. They're kind of like, all right, we're getting rid of the unlimited Zoom calls.
so we just
now
gotta restart it.
We're back to 40 minutes.
we just got to restart it.
Yep.
So that was so you were going out with your episode going with Picard No and stuff like that. Sorry.
Oh yeah. And those are my favorite episodes. It was between those two, because I love the one where Riker is just, trying to blend in with the Klingons. He's trying to eat their food and just follow their customs, and it's really great. And there's a lot of fun moments in that with them too. And it also has that other exchange program. I can't remember his name. I think his name's begins with it's like Martog or something. I can't remember, but he has that weird vapor thing that's he's breathing these vapors, and he's this alien that kind of doesn't tell Picard oh yeah, there's a ship there's a organism eating the ship. I'm just gonna figure this out on my own. And it's just and then he gets zinged for it. It's just yeah, but it's but yeah, no, those are my two favorite episodes. And people are probably like, what, those two? But I don't know. We all have our favorites,
I think for me, a lot of it is TNG as well. So, when it comes to series, TNG, Captain, Picard, number 1, Riker, Doctor, we're going to go with Beverly, Worf, the same thing with yourself. Engineering, I had to tell Bruce I have to get back on that one. And little did I know, someone would do something to break Triz's heart. Still out. It's still out
not me.
there. But no, Geordi still. Again, it's a lot of TNG. But my favorite episode was Survivors, if you remember that one from TNG.
Yes. Wait, Survivors is the one where the alien race comes down and destroys basically the civilization that's on the planet, but one of the guys is an alien, and he preserves his house and his wife. And is that Survivors?
Yes. Where he's the one that destroyed the Husnuk.
He basically confesses, and he's I wiped out all Husnuk.
Yes.
All of them.
With a thought.
That is, yeah. And it's great, because I remember Picard's response to that. It was we have no law for what you've done. And it's which is kind of crazy, And that's I love that episode. That's a great episode too. And it's really sad.
Well, did you know, the one thing I actually just learned recently was that before that episode, the actor's real life wife passed away.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
So I guess it was just told to me, actually. I didn't even know about it. So he kind of used that. And even when I first watched it, I kind of not I'm gonna say realize it, but I could feel something, right? He was able to convey an emotion through his acting of losing his wife, of killing that whole race. So I thought that was pretty heavy. It's the one that stuck out to me over the years, and again, of course, TNG, because I got into Star Trek through TNG.
That's a fantastic episode. Yeah, that's a great one to be as a favorite.
There's
so many. How can you just have one? How can you just have one favorite of these hundreds of episodes?
That's true. I mean, episode 9 was going to be one of them, but anyways, so we're gonna keep rolling. So that's awesome. I love that. It seems like you and I have the same influence in Star Trek, which is TNG.
Yeah.
And I really, really do love it. But talking about Star Trek, though, how did you get into Star Trek? What was the moment that captured you? Like that one going, okay, yeah, I'm a Trekkie.
I think it was watching the films. Watching the films really got me into Star Trek. So I was just really young, and I think I would always watch Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, and basically the trilogy, which is Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home. Yeah, and I watch those the most, and after just watching them constantly, and all three movies are just so very different. And then I was just like, I'm really getting into just this world, this universe, and then just kind of getting into TNG, and then watching all of TNG, and then, well, not watching all of TNG, but like kind of like halfway through watching TNG, going back through TOS and rewatching all those based on like, fortunately, my uncle had like every VHS copy of every TOS episode, so I was able to binge back then on those VHS tapes.
VHS.
But which you could probably buy at like dollar stores for like $1 or something if you find them in a bin or something. But yeah, I kind of went through that, and I just kind of, there's just so many like amazing messages and just stories and just acting, just these amazing character moments, these amazing acting, these great scenes. I just kind of was just like, yeah, I can easily like just be a part of Star Trek like for the rest of my life.
You are, sir.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's still surreal now. I'm still like not really used to it, but yeah, it's wild. So that's kind of like how I got into like Star Trek, is just like watching. It started with it kind of like, when I realized that how much I loved it was with the films, and then I started exploring the episodes more. And then that was around the time like TNG like aired, which I think was like in '87, I think, somewhere around there. So yeah, but that's just kind of where it is. I just love the films. They're so well done. And actually, if you're ever going to ask me what my favorite film is, and people are probably going to disagree with this, it's Star Trek 3: Search for Spock. That is, and a lot of people like really hate on 3. Well, there's like this weird thing about like the odd numbers are bad and the even numbers are good, and I like really disagree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Like, I think episode Search for Spock, Star Trek 3 is like my favorite, because there is so much important moments that happen in Search for Spock that's just out of control. Like Kirk steals the Enterprise. He's like never gonna be a captain again after pulling a stunt like this. He's probably gonna go to jail or whatever. Kirk's son gets killed. David, and I'm sorry, gang, this is like super spoilers. So people who've never seen Trek, I just say this is like super spoiler talk here. But it's like, David gets killed by the Klingons, which starts up like Kirk's hatred for the Klingons. The destruction of the Enterprise. I mean, come on. This is like the Enterprise that we're currently watching right now. I mean, I think the Enterprise from Search for Spock, that was the end of it. It just kept getting refitted until Kirk blew it up. And that is like the Enterprise from the Strange New Worlds. That's the Enterprise where everyone went to that hall plating and signed their name on it. All those moments on that ship are now gone, and also that is one of the most amazing way to defeat your enemy. It's just by blowing up the ship, where Kirk is just like, all right, send over your crew, we surrender, or whatever. And then they come over, he beams off, and it's like, all right, it's blown up. It's like the ultimate FU to your opponent. And something, it's like, if it was board gaming, it's like the ultimate table flipping. He's just like, whatever. Yeah. I love it. And of course, the return of Spock. There's so many amazing moments that happen in Search for Spock. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I really defend that movie a lot. And that's always going to be my favorite. Sorry, we're going off on a separate tangent. I inserted another question.
But this is what we want, to be honest with you. To find out what makes you love Star Trek is what we want to learn about. And especially with someone who's working on current Trek, it's so awesome to hear this. I'm not kidding you. I'm about to change my uniform. I'm not gonna lie, because it's again, these conversations we have.
That's why I'm behind you, Z. I'm comforting you right now. That's why I'm like, here you go, bud. I'm here for you.
That's awesome. But
it's almost it's weird like seeing me back there, because I'm almost like it's both you and me interviewing me. It's almost like I'm Prime Matt, and that one is Mirror Matt. You should have put a beard on me.
Don't give me ideas.
It would have been the Mirror Universe.
I could do that. I could do that. I have some skills in that. I would say mine is Nemesis, just because. It's because of just mostly the spaceship pew pews.
Yes.
I do like that. That's actually what got me into Star Trek, was the ships. And it's funny, I said this to Bruce. What I love about Star Trek is ships, characters, and then stories. Funny, and Strange New Worlds has ticked all of those boxes. And I normally tend to lean over to the ships first, but what Strange New Worlds has done has gotten me so engaged with the character development, hence why my face was leaking, the episodic type of single, sort of self-contained episodes. It just makes so much sense to me, and maybe it's because I'm used to those from before, right? In a sense where it is hitting a lot of notes from my childhood, because this is where I got into Star Trek was TNG around, I'd say I'm not sure if I was watching reruns or whatever, but I was 12 years old, I think. 12.
Oh, wow.
When I was watching that, and just I remember seeing the galaxy just kind of graze that, that same scene they use over and over again, where the Enterprise goes up and down as the camera goes on the screen. It just looks so beautiful to me in terms of ship wise, and that she'll always have a place in my heart, the Enterprise D. But no, I want to be respectful of your time. I just want to make sure we're okay for time.
No, we're good. We're good.
Because I want to find out what like I said earlier, is why are you a Star Trek fan is the most important in this conversation, to be honest with you. So if you feel you need to insert, go ahead, please, sir.
No,
now we know that his favorite movie. We now know his favorite movie. So,
which is kind of weird, because like the trilogy, I always considered a trilogy like one big movie. So it's like I always tell people, I was like, well, if you want to watch a trilogy, you got to watch all three. You just can't watch Wrath of Khan. You can't watch Wrath. You got to watch all three of them. They're all like it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like it's all one film.
And you have to watch it so that they can tie off and here and there and all that stuff there. So
right.
Okay, so now here is the next question. Okay. How did you get the opportunity to work on Strange New Worlds?
Wow. Well, this is going to be a long one.
Right.
So the stars really aligned for this moment, and I still don't understand how it happened. But it's kind of like a funny opening to it is that, I've always wanted to work on Star Trek, or not just like work on Star Trek, just be a part of like Star Trek, ever since I was like a child. This is just, I loved it. I always wanted to be a part of it. I always imagined like how cool it would be just to be like part of the crew, whether you're like the actor or you're just like working on the show or movie or whatever. And then after Enterprise, that dream basically was gone. It was pretty much crushed because there was no Star Trek shows for like the next 12 years. I mean, Star Trek, it was like the longest, like, well, I don't know if it was the longest law in Star Trek history. I don't know. I can't remember the length between TOS and the film, but it was long. 12 years is a long time for no Star Trek to be on the air.
That's a childhood.
yeah, especially and so the one funny thing in post-production on like shows in the film industry out here, the most important thing that producers are looking for, like in an assistant editor or just a worker who's going to be on this season, is can you finish out the season? And it's like, because everything is so tightly timed on a schedule that if like one person leaves, now you got to find a replacement, but maybe there's like a drought of this particular worker, especially for AEs right now. It's really hard to find like AEs right now. And it's like, you have to kind of delay stuff or put that workload on another person until you find like a replacement. So the biggest thing is they always want you to finish out a season. That's a big thing. And it's also like it's etiquette. You don't want to like jump ship mid-season, you know. It's devastating. So I would always tell people, producers and stuff, like during interviews, I would always just say like, yeah, so you know, I will never leave a show before it wraps. You know, I'm here for the long run, for the season. If you leave after the season's over and you're not on season 2, that's okay. They just want you to work like the full season. But I would always joke, and I would always say, I will never leave a season before it wraps unless Star Trek calls. And they knew I was joking. You know, I was like, they knew who I was, and they knew I was joking, and everyone knew that like Star Trek was like gone. You know, there was no Star Trek for a while, so it was like kind of like this big joke. And I used that joke for years, and it was hilarious, and we all had a great laugh because everyone was like, okay, yeah, you're fine. Star Trek is not coming back, whatever. Then Discovery drops their teaser, and I was like, oh shoot, I can't tell that joke anymore because now people are gonna think I'm like this like flight risk, and it's like, oh, well, we can't hire him. He's as soon as Star Trek calls him, he's gonna be gone. And then it was really funny because when I got the call, and I got the dates, I was currently on another show, and I called my producer, my post producer, and you know, he's a really good friend of mine. I called him and I said, hey, so when did we wrap? And he said, did Star Trek call? And I was like, yep. But fortunately I didn't leave early on that show. That was a show. It was actually timed perfectly. As soon as we wrapped post on that show, Strange New Worlds post was starting. So it was like the timing was perfect. But it was hilarious because it was the joke that like manifested itself into reality. It was just crazy. So now on, if I ever went to another show, I can never use that joke again. That joke is gone forever. But no, that's the long part of it. But how I really got the call was a lot of this industry is networking in this industry is so incredibly powerful. I mean, it's more powerful than a college degree, like at some points, not all the time, but at some points it really is, especially for like editors and assistant editors. You know, it's all about like networking. And you know, when assistant editors are kind of done with the show, we have this very strange time with the editors, because once all the episodes are locked, and there might be like a hiatus between like, you know, a season, and it might be a long hiatus on some shows. Some shows it's like a 4-month hiatus or something like that until the new season starts. So the editor will go off and take another job, maybe like a shorter gig or something like that, but they can't take, you know, the assist, because the assistant is, we still have to do other things. We have to do a lot of like the turnovers to like sound and online, and to, you know, the VFX, and, you know, we have to stay through to the end. So our timing's off, because now our editors have gone on another show, they've gotten another assistant editor, and when our duties are done, we kind of become like Ronins. You know, it's like we don't have a show or a home or an editor to work with, and we're just kind of like looking for the next gig to go. We're kind of like these like hired samurais, and it's kind of crazy, but and that's kind of how I got this show. Like, that's kind of how I got this gig. It was my editor called his assistant editor, who was already on another show. That assistant called another assistant who was on another show. That assistant called my good friend, who is also an assistant, who called me because he knew how much I love Star Trek. And it just kind of went through the grapevine. And I said, and he was like, I can't take the show. I would love to take the show, but I can't take it because I'm already on one. And I was like, I am absolutely interested in this. Please,
Yes.
please relay the message back via whatever networking you can to get this back, please.
Wow.
And it did. It went back through, and here I found out that my editor that I'm with right now, we worked on a show 5 years ago together, and he wasn't my editor on that show. I was with a different editor, but he was on the same team. He was third team, I was first team. And we all hung out. We're like a big Post is like a big family, It's we're all hanging out with each other and everything, and it's great. And he called me and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Matt, how's it going?" And I was like, "Oh, how are you?" It's like it was great. So yeah, and I was like, I'm definitely interested. Let me know. My show's ending, and I'm gonna be free. And he basically sent the news over to our supervising post producer, and she called me and just kind of went through the whole interview process and just said, "Oh yeah, I used to work with Wes and all this stuff," and just told her all the shows that I worked on before and stuff like that, and that's how I got the job. So it was really like the stars like really aligned for this moment, and it was really great talking, getting that phone call from April. April Nakafora, she was our supervising post producer. Now, I don't know if you're watching Discovery 2 or Strange New Worlds. At the end, you probably noticed a card at the end of the first episode of Strange New Worlds, and one of the episodes in Discovery, I can't remember which, but it said, "For April, we love you." April was our post producer, supervising post producer, and unfortunately, like tragically, she passed away in December from a long battle with cancer. And the news hit a lot of us, just echoed through the Star Trek family. I mean, she has an incredible history with Star Trek, dating back all the way to Deep Space Nine. She was on DS9, Voyager. She was doing Discovery, Picard, and Strange New Worlds, and battling cancer. I mean, the amount of strength she had. Sorry, my hands are shaking.
No, you're making me.
She was so dedicated just to the Star Trek world, and she was just so kind and just funny and supportive, and she was, and many others, she was our captain in post-production. I mean, she looked out for us. She was just incredible. And when we got the news, it was just devastating. Star Trek is family. I mean, we're all, like I said, like our editorial team. I mean, we all editorial teams, like we all hang out together, and we all just constantly, we're like a family. And in a sense, this show is my second family, because it's like I'm at home, and then my second home is Star Trek, where I spend the other half of my life. So we're all like a big family, and the dream of being a part of this family, it would not have been possible if it wasn't for April, because she was the one who hired me. And for that, I will always remember her, and may her memory be eternal. We love you, April. I mean, it's we miss her so much. But yeah, if it wasn't for April, this would just all still just be a dream, and I probably would not be where I am today. So a lot, anyways, sorry.
Why do you keep pulling on the heart?
I'm sorry.
Why do you? No, you know what? I will say this. When you were talking, and maybe it's because of how I can sort of relate a lot. I felt it. really felt your connection with her, and again, I don't know her obviously, but when you you can tell when someone is genuinely speaking about someone who they, at whatever level you can consider that, they love, and you showing that was just pure raw love that you had for, again, like you just spoke to, the opportunity, the relationship you've had with. I'm gonna have to check that I'm gonna have to check that out. But that was, I appreciate, I thank you for sharing that. That was a moment. That was, oof. You got to stop pulling on it. No, you're not sorry.
Don't mean to take it out.
You're not sorry.
But it's important to like honor her. And just to see like her history with Star Trek and how much she was just how much joy she brought to this world. It's incredible. So.
I think it is important to give the respect, however you want to word it, however it relates to you, the respect and or love or whatever it is, to those who helped you, especially for you. I mean, right now, you saying that without her, you wouldn't be in this situation, right? And again, it just shows again how your love for Star Trek. And this is exactly why I wanted to do this, is because to find out these little nuggets that we can hold on to and know, well, yeah, this is why, I am a Star Trek fan in my way, but you are too still. And that's what I want to find out. How much of a fan, man, and you have like deep roots, like, I mean, like deep roots. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. That was, you're gonna make Triz leak again, face leak.
I'm sorry, I don't want to make your face leak.
No, no, thank you. That was awesome. So having off of that, and I'm not sure if you're gonna make my face leak again. What is your favorite Star Trek Strange New Worlds moment so far? But from 1 to 9, because of course we can't talk about 10, but because of this, as of this.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure. My favorite. Favorites.
All the episodes I worked on. No, I'm just kidding.
I am a little biased. It is all the episodes I work on, but that's mostly because it's like I've been with them the most. Like I said, I've seen those episodes so many times. I was with those episodes from the beginning. From like the raw footage. I know the line. I know like all the lines by heart. At this point, boy, my favorite moment so far. All right, well, I will say the Montana scene in the pilot is one of my favorite. Just that the whole teaser in the pilot is great. Just when it just starts out in his cabin, starting with the day the earth stood still, watching it, and Patel's like, oh, this again. He's like, what? It's a classic. And just like, and just that whole bit where like the communicator's going off and he's like,
no,
I'm not gonna answer this. It's like I got higher clearance than you, and it's like, no, not for this. and I think it's really great, coming off of like Disco season 2, which I love. That season is so good, and the end. Just that the last 4 episodes are intense for season 2 Disco. I mean, it's just a phenomenal season. And just being in the know, like as an audience member, it's like, trust me, Patel. Like we know you cannot know like what is happening. You don't want to know. But no, I love that whole thing. I love when like Robert April comes down. And just like, you got to get back on that horse, Captain. And he's like, you don't want me on that ship. And just all like the, it's a combination of just incredible amazing writing and just amazing actors just delivering these just incredible lines. Just these back and forth. These scenes are so good. So I do love that. That might be my favorite because I could watch that a lot. You know, I'm gonna go back to another tie. It's another tie. The other one is episode 4, Memento Mori. And that's one of my episodes. The one where him and Uhura are talking. This is in the 4th act. At the end, when they're about to hook themselves up so they don't get blown out into space. That whole bit where, you know, Hemmer's trying to comfort Uhura and just saying, you know, it's like, you know, one of my favorite lines in this is, you know, when Hemmer's like, you humans are, you know, just so, you're so like concerned about death. You know, it's like, you know, Xenar believed that, you know, the end only comes when, I'm trying to think of like what the line is, but even though after I just said I memorized all these lines, but yeah, it's just like the whole to fix what is broken. You know, it's like, what is your purpose to fix what is broken? That whole exchange between Uhura and Hemmer, and just kind of like them, you know, just like Hemmer, you know, showing Uhura like all of like, well, this is what life is like as an engineer. You know, it's like when she's like finally like configuring the machine that's about to explode, and he says, great, now we can get started, and she's like, get started? It's like, yep, now you know what it's like, the world of engineering. And so I love all those moments. So episode that moment to fix what is broken is one of my favorite lines in Strange New Worlds, and it's delivered by one of my favorite characters. And finally, this is the second, because it's freaking amazing, is the Serene Squall when Spock just freaking launches that pirate across the bridge, and he just like comes up, he's like, gun, pick up, no, he's like, gun, smash, boom, and he just launches him across the bridge. I laughed so hard. Not that it was like goofy, I laughed from like excitement. Yeah. Like this is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Like giddiness.
Oh God, I was just loving that. And every time I watch it, it's great. That's coming in a second. So I'm gonna probably have to say, tied for first, Montana to fix what is broken, and second place, Spock launching the pirate across the bridge. It's incredible. Just thinking about it, just like Vic just gets me all like.
So hashtag
yes,
Team Himura was born.
Oh gosh, Team Himura strikes again.
And we're gonna get into that again later, sir. I'm just gonna you're not off the hook on that one yet, but no, that moment so far I'm gonna reserve yet, because I think I told you this. I've been ranking episodes from 1 to 7. 8 and 9 I have not been able to rank. My heart is still broken.
Mine's a really hard one to like rank, because it's like you want to love it, but at the same time it causes so much emotions.
Yes.
And hurt.
Yes.
It's hard. I get it. I get it if people say like 9 is not my favorite episode. And I get it. I get it because it's like they want it to be their favorite episode. But I can see why, because it's kind of hard to say like the episode that gives you the most like heartbreak is your favorite. It's like you want the episode that gives you to be your favorite episode, the one that's just like, oh, it just makes me laugh, I get like really excited or something like that. And it's like the ones that, like, for me anyways, I don't know, for like other audience members it's probably very different, but for me it's like I have a hard time like ranking like my favorite episode, the ones that gives me the most heartbreak, because it's like, oh, it's so hard to watch that episode because it just makes my heart hurt, but I love it. But I absolutely love it, but it's hard to make it my absolute favorite. So that's but that's just kind of where I stand. Episode 9 is it's an incredible episode, and there's a lot of emotions, and I sound really calm about 9 because I've had a whole year to recover from 9.
I'm still recovering, but I think
it's a very open wound for a lot of
you're just putting salt.
audience members.
You're just
yeah.
Just sprinkle that salt on there. Just
yeah.
That's all you're doing. I mean, but that's the thing. When I rank these, I'm not necessarily, because there's an episode at the end. It's not necessarily bad.
No, yeah, no, absolutely not.
It's just a level, right? I mean, if anything, each episode has been able to get me emotionally engaged. I've been able to, and something I've spoken to, like I've been able to connect to characters, to moments, more so characters. That's where, if there's a character that I can say, I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but it's been just up and down with how it's that character's been portrayed in the episodes, is La'an. La'an has been very.
I love La'an.
Oh, I mean that's why episode
no,
one
go ahead.
is
I'm sorry.
still one. Episode
Yes.
1 is still number 1 for me, because I didn't expect La'an and Pike, that relationship, to sort of be that way. I didn't. And then all of a sudden, you go to episode 9, it's again like a full complete circle. But then there's times for me why episode 2 with Uhura, I love that episode. Her singing voice, oh my god, it's so good, her singing voice. But I felt La'an was just too over security-ish. Like it's snarl, just kind of. But for the most part, La'an is really a character that I've just been up and down with in terms of my connection with her.
Yeah, and it's like La'an, it's like, it's hard for her. It's tough because she's been through so much. It's like she's, her whole situation with the Gorn, like through childhood, and then, growing up. She's talking about in episode, was it 3, with the light virus.
Oh yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
The Illyrians,
yeah,
and just her whole thing where how she has her last name,
mm-hmm.
she's kind of has to carry around her name, and it's just there's a lot of feels for La'an. I just feel really bad for that character. So
mm-hmm.
I don't mind if she kind of can be like standoffish at time, where she's just like, I'm just like I'm a security officer that's taking my job like very serious, like almost like way too serious at times, with the whole like all of her, and this is going to like episode 6, with going through all her rules, her security rules, which is great. They're kind of like the rules of acquisition. She has, I wonder, I want to know how many rules La'an has for her security. It's like she's probably got like 265 rules of security. But I want that character. It's like you're just watching like Strange New Worlds, and it's like, man, this poor character, it's like her history with the Gorn, her history with her name. It's like, I just want her to get like a moment of happiness,
right?
Yeah. And I guess she gets that in 8 when she becomes the princess.
Oh my. Okay. So hold on to that thought. We're gonna restart this. Hold on to that thought. Meeting 8, or episode 8. 1 sec. Captains, we'll be back. 1 sec.
All right, we're gonna take a break.
Scotty, beat me up.
Oh wait.
All right. So we just had to take a quick little break there, aka restarting the Zoom meeting.
Zoom's like, you don't get unlimited time anymore.
Now, speaking of episode 8, I want you, because this was actually one of the, see if I want to tag this on, but are you still good for time? I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
you're still good for time.
No, this is fun. This is a lot of fun.
The episode 8, speak to that more. What was your thoughts on episode 8? Because it's almost conflicting, but I want to hear your thoughts on 8.
Well, I haven't watched, since 8 wasn't my episode, I haven't watched it nearly as many times as the 3 that are right behind you. But I really love, I really love that episode. It's just, it's so traditional Star Trek storytelling. I like fell in love with it as soon as Mbenga walked out of the turbo lift, and now he's in like this fantasy world where like the reality is just completely changed, you know. And I always loved like Star Trek episodes like that, you know, like the episode where Q is like messing with the crew and takes him back to like the Robin Hood. It's like it's like I love it when the crew is thrown out of time, out of place, and they're just kind of like, what is going on? And whether they're in on it or they're not in on it, it's like I kind of like love that storytelling. So I was like instantly a fan of 8. It was just a really fun episode. And then once you get past all the comedy and the fun parts of 8, then you get into this very emotional moment, you know, with Mbenga and you know, his daughter Rukia. And you know, I remember like when I first saw it, you know, I didn't read the script for it. Because I usually don't read the scripts for the other team's episodes because I like to be surprised when I watch it. I just like to be like, I just like, and I don't want to be like, I don't like spoilers, so I don't want anything like ruined. So usually I'll try and like avoid like reading like the scripts that aren't my episodes. But unless I need to like pull information for my episode, then I have to read it. but I had no idea that she was gonna get like basically one with this nebula. And then I was like, oh my God, she's gone. And that's kind of insane. And I was like really saddened by that. And then she came back and she's like older and she like lived a whole lifetime or like half a lifetime, you know, in this nebula. And I was just like, oh, this is nice that it ended this way, because I don't want to lose another child in this, you know, coming off of episode 6.
You're responsible for one already. What?
It's a real kick in. That was a real kick in the teeth for a lot of people. Dude, it's just like that was a twist that was just like, oh my, what?
I feel
so that was nice that you know that Rukia is still like in the cosmos, and you know, hey, all Mbenga has to do is you know, take a shuttle to tracking that nebula, and he can see Rukia again. You know. You would think, right?
No,
like,
you're
she's
right.
still in existence, so she's like a traveler now. You know, she's just one with the universe. You know,
I felt that episode 8, again, kind of what you said. Once you get sort of past, okay, this is what it's gonna be, right? Just get past the silliness. I was thinking both on an episode level and a in real life level. With the in real life level first, I'll just say I think the actresses had so much fun. I feel like this was their chance to just like blah. And La'an, and again, this is a high note for me because La'an, from as much as all of them really sort of shone and really kind of had their light, La'an, you can tell she was having fun. She had her dog with her. Like
everybody was having fun on that episode. That is like an episode you read the script and you're like, I cannot wait to do this episode.
It's like, yes,
we're gonna have so much fun with this episode. Yeah, everyone had so much fun with that episode. Even putting it together, it's just everybody in all departments, and even down to like costumes, it's like wardrobe and just and like props and everything. I mean, everyone just loved that episode.
Like it was ridiculous in its way, but sure, it's like what you said, it's Star Trek, right? It's so Star Trek that sure. And throughout the whole thing, the pacing of this was fun. For me, it was fun, because it gave everyone Mbenga, of course, Hemmer shown, right? Hemmer came. This is after Hemmer's 2-episode hiatus, so he came back full force. And of course, it says that famous line, the power of science, or whatever that line you said there, right?
Yes.
And then you
the
have
magic of science.
Magic of science, yeah. And then Ortegas and Pike. That thing was his sniveling. Oh my, his sniveling. It was absolutely awesome. Like his Pikeism was taken to another level. Like it was just taken to another level. All of his face expressions and all that. Chapel didn't have a lot of lines, but that was okay. Uhura, I thought she was having a lot of fun. And of course, you had Una. And
I mean, how can you not have fun in like a costume like that? Like any kind of like costume that's just big and just has a whole bunch of stuff connected to it. I mean, you just instantly become that character, once you put that on. Oh,
the cape just flowing through, and there was like I believe it was on Twitter where La'an was twirling in her dress.
Yeah, Christina has a really fun like twirl in slow motion, and it's just like, how can you not have fun in costumes like that, or just wardrobe like that? It's just incredible.
But like what you said with Mbenga and his daughter, so what I thought was going to happen with that, I was not prepared for, was how that ended. But because, correct me if I'm wrong, the episode that you worked on for the episode.
Oh, episode 6. Yes.
Episode 6.
The suffering cannot
reach. Elder
Gamal
said, give me your daughter's file, and I will see. So I thought, in my mind, okay, he's gonna try to do something, right? And then when that moment happened, now I have a daughter, 10 years old. So I think this is the reason why I connected with that scene a lot more. And this is where Mbenga kind of shot up in terms of his ranking in my doctors. When he first hugged Rukia, the lighting, the music, the moment, the actual embrace was so good. Like, I mean, that's that perfect scene. And then when the entity took over Hemmer and said her body, it's her consciousness is not sick, it's her body, right? And that's why she, the whole Nebula thing. Now, I don't want to say it's an issue, but they took her away, the entity took her away, and then like I said, she came back like right away. I wish that moment was just extended just a little bit longer. However, that would have happened where maybe everything went back to normal, they're about to leave the nebula, and then she comes in. But it was so instant. I was like, wait, I'm still not recovered. What? I know why they did that. And what really got me is when Mbenga held his heart, because she named the entity after her mom. It just, oh man, you felt it from him. It's one of those episodes where it is standing out for me as really just good emotional pulls, but also sad pulls. It's like everywhere, right? It's like an emotional mess, but in a good way still.
Yeah.
Right, in a good way. And I'm glad of obviously his daughter. And like you said, if you want to go see your daughter, take a shuttle and skip across the universe.
Right.
There again. But it's still, I think what also capped that all together was the fact that from episode 1 all the way to 9, or sorry, to 8, I should say, to 8, was that theme of, okay, well, Rukia is losing time, he's not getting better, the time's running out, then all of a sudden, boom, this is the solution. And the relationship building, and again, this speaks to the next, it's going to go into the next question I have, is you seeing them work together. How real is their relationship? Because that is, for me, it's conveying across the screen, and I think that's why I'm able to connect with it so bad, is because it feels so genuine, the relationship that you see on screen.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's funny. This is where you need like the second team to talk about this part. This is a better question for the team that worked on this because it's their episode. But yeah, it's like
But I mean, overall, just from what you've seen, from what just you see them, it just feels so happy together.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that is a great episode. It's just, yeah, they just work together. Just I don't know. They just work together just so well. Yeah. It's just oh, you're gonna make me get emotional now. No. Just like I love it's like I have a 5-year-old, and and it's just like just watching that episode, just like it's just hard to see just like everything that Mbenga's going through with Rukia, and it's just, oh my god,
it was really hard. I think it was really good storytelling for me. A lot of people may not agree with it, but I do. I absolutely love it, and but we'll speak to more of the stuff that you worked on directly, because that's the meat here, because I have a question for you, sir.
Oh gosh, no, wait, here it comes.
Well, it was actually now, this is the next question. So tell us about the episodes you worked on. So how I'm just gonna leave it there. Tell us about the episodes you worked on, and tell us the titles and all that stuff.
It was really exciting. I worked on episode 4, episode 6, and episode 9, and it was really exciting just jumping into 4, because when we started working on 4, we shot all of the bridge scenes first, which is really exciting, because as I remember, like my first week working on the show, first off, I was already like super excited to work on the show. It's just like, the dream has come true. I'm here. Everything I remember, it's like everything I remember, I'm bringing it to this week. This is the first we get our dailies in. I'm looking at the bridge, and it's awesome. And the very first week, I'm already blowing up the bridge. it's like the greatest thing ever. I don't know why. There's something about when the Enterprise takes damage, or just gets pummeled. It's just, there's something about that. Seeing the ship get damaged, it's just very exciting. It's just like I don't for me, it was like one of my favorite things, like Wrath of Khan, where it's just like getting just hammered. And I was just like, oh, look at all the battle damage on the Enterprise. This looks so cool. But yeah, that was really exciting working on Memento Mori, because it, for one, it was amazing writing on that episode. It's just, I know they mentioned a lot of Hunt for Red October, and there's another submarine movie that they always reference. They reference it on the Ready Room. For me, when I read that and I watch it, and it's basically the same as those films are, was Das Boot. Das Boot is like one of my favorite submarine films, Wolfgang Petersen, and all of the so I got very excited like reading the script, and with like the whole like sonar moments, and the fact that we're going too deep, and the pressure is like destroying the ship, and it's just like the whole like cat and mouse game between Enterprise and the Gorn through that episode is just so exciting, and it's just so cool. It's structured so well, just because it's like, all right, here we're gonna focus on the pings, and all right, we're done with the pings. What's the next problem? The next problem is gotta figure out what's going on with like the pressure of the ship being crushed. It's like we have all these ships we're trying to evade, and we're trying to outsmart these ships trying to destroy the Enterprise. And then, basically surfing off of the accretion disk, like getting slingshot off the accretion disk. And it's like, that episode is just structured so well. It's so exciting from like start to finish. And in that episode, there's a lot of casualties in that episode too. I mean, and serious casualties too. But I mean, another child dies in that episode. It's like La'an wakes up from from the first attack, and the first thing she says is like, what about the girl? And Una's just like, nope. And it's like, oh man, it's gotten real serious. So it's kind of crazy. I feel like we got all of the more like, so we got some really intense episodes, 4, 6, and 9. Just a lot of intense, a lot of crazy moments that happen in ours. There's just like very serious moments that happen in Trek. But that was just like 4. 4 was really fun. Just that first week of working on this show, and the first thing I get to do is blow up Enterprise, and it's really fun too, because like one of the duties of an assistant editor is one of the many. We have a lot of things we do on the show. we stay very busy, but one of them is, the editor puts the show together, and a lot of times the assistant editor, we lay in all the temp sound effects. Now, all those sound effects is just for temp. They're not like permanent or anything like that. We just put them in there so when we actually show the show, to the directors, the producers, that they're just not watching, just like an episode that it's like bare bones, it's like it's got no music, it's got no sound effects. So we lay in those temp sounds, temp musical scores to kind of give it more like life. But it's exciting because when I sat down, I almost felt like I knew where every sound effect was, like every button that was pressed. It's like, oh, I know exactly what that's going to sound like. It was like the easiest show to like sound mix temp wise. It's like, oh, I know where all this is. Oh, I don't have the sound effect. All right, well, I'm going to go, I'm going to go grab this sound effect off of like Discovery and pop it in, because I know that button would sound like that. And now that's just me. And like I said, it's just temp, because what really happens is when we turn this over to Warner Brothers Sound, who does our sound mixing for the show, that's where the real geniuses for sound work come into play. I mean, the stuff that they do with the sound mixing on this show is incredible. The first thing they do is they throw away all of my sound effects, which is fine. I'm okay with that. It's all good. All that hard work tossed. No, but basically it's like, they replace all those temp sounds with their actual sound effects, and their Foley, and their they sweeten all the dialogue and everything like that. And then when we watch it again during the playback or the mix days, when it's on the mix stage, it is like a completely different show, and you were just blown away, and you get so excited watching this, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's almost like, did you ever watch? It's almost like when something gets released on DVD and then it gets re-released in like 4K, and you buy like the 4K version of this movie that was shot, and it was just like, you watch it, just like your mind is like blown away. Multiply that by like 100. That is what it's like when you see the finished product. From what we work on in the offline to what ends up as the final product, and it's just incredible. So yeah, but yeah, was basically episode 4. The excitement of blowing up the Enterprise, the excitement of like laying in all these sound effects temporary for like the first time. It was just very exciting for that. And then we jumped to and also the introduction. I almost completely forgot this. The introduction to my favorite character in Strange New Worlds, Hemmer. Don't get me wrong, I love all the characters in Strange New Worlds. Every one of them are fantastic, but there was something with Hemmer from the first moment I saw Hemmer, and I didn't see Hemmer in episodes 1, 2, and 3. The first time I've ever seen Hemmer, and I didn't even really know who Hemmer was or what his job was. And then when I saw him in the footage, immediately the scene with him and Uhura, talking to, Uhura saying, it was like, I like engineering. It's a lot like, like language. It's like language, it's like, and like linguistics. Yeah. And he's just like, all right, points granted. And he's just like, all right, you have potential, young one. and she's like, all right, challenge accepted. And she's like, from that moment, like seeing Hemmer, I was like, wow, I like really love this character. I love just how like he's kind of has this like arrogance to him, and he's just kind of this old curmudgeon. Is just like, But he was great. And I think like being an assistant editor, because that's like a thing with like an assistant editor, where the relationship between an assistant editor and an editor is very unique, and it's very close. It's a lot like NASCAR. It's a lot like professional racing. Like the editor is the driver, and they're the ones that are creating the storytelling and everything. And then the assistant editor is like the pit crew. We're like the engineers who make sure everything is working correctly, everything's organized, everything is as streamlined as possible, so the editor doesn't have to go and do all this, engineering work. And I think that's why I kind of gravitate towards Hemmer so much, is because, I feel like I am an engineer in editorial, and I think that's why I love Hemmer's character. And it's just like I kind of relate to a lot of his stuff, So immediately I loved Hemmer. And of course, then after that, I watched episode 2, where Hemmer's in the kitchen and he's kind of like hazing Uhura a little bit, and which is great. And so immediately, and then after episode 2, with him like all of his dialogue and stuff in that scene, I was just an instant fan of Hemmer. And I was just like, okay, Hemmer, you were my favorite. Everyone is amazing, and I love everybody, but you were just that one notch up above everyone, and mostly because I feel like we are on the same, we have the same duties, so, and I think that's why. But yeah, but that's episode 4, so we'll move on to episode 6, where suffering cannot reach. It's that was, I was really shocked at the end of that, at that episode. That was like really
not prepared.
Really a shocker for, and that kid is just he is so great. Ian Ho, I think is his name. He's really good actor, and he was so adorable in this when he has that little moment with Spock, and they're talking about like just science stuff and everything, and then he's just like oh yeah, I could convert this bed into this, and it's like yeah, I don't think Dr. Benga would appreciate that, and he just has this like little smile that just like makes your heart like, oh, this
connect to him really well.
This first servant, amazing, so he was really great in the episode, and just a lot of fun stuff. Fun stuff with Pike, and oh my gosh, the character's name, Alora. Who's played by Lindy Booth. She did a great job with that character. I love her monologue at her like little speech at the end, just about like, this is kind of like how our society is, how it is, and it's creepy. I mean, especially where the moment that always gives me chills is when Pike asks her, he's like, well, will he suffer? And she's like, yes. It's just like, she doesn't know. She's just like, I don't know, maybe it's going to be okay. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it's not as bad as, no, she just straight out says, yes. we don't pretend. It's like that moment like gets to me every time I watch it. And it's just like this really just like, it's just this real, just like creepy moment for me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so serious. And it's a great scene. I just like love how Pike just gets up and he's just like,
nope,
get me out of here.
Nope.
And it's really sad for Pike, because this is the part where, you think like Pike is really contemplating like the idea of like, I know my fate is happening. It's like, I know this horrible thing is going to happen to me and there's no way to escape it, but maybe this might be the answer. It's like the answer to both Pike and Benga. It's like Benga has like an answer to cure Rukia, and Pike has potentially an answer to, maybe escape his fate, or if he gets horribly, what happens to him, he can go to this planet and they can fix everything. And it's you just wonder like what's going through Pike's thoughts, like as he's looking out of the ship at the end.
Yeah.
And it's just, you just kind of see the planet, and he was like, to me, it's just like, this could have been my moment, but now I'm going back to this, what's going to happen to me, and it's like, well, it's almost like he's like, I'd rather have this happen to me than put a child through, this torture. And it's just, God, what an episode. Episode 6 is pretty wild. It's pretty incredible.
Creepy would explain it, definitely.
Yeah. And then we jump to episode 9. And a lot of, man.
All right.
So, episode 9. Maybe we should just talk about episode 9 for a second.
I'm gonna still go ahead. I'm gonna hold it in. Episode 9 was really, for like many people right now, many audience members, episode 9 was really rough for me to read that script. And I'm sure for just so many people, watching that episode, when I read the script for 9, I got to that moment with Hemmer, and I remember reading it, and right when I got to his final moments, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen to prevent this, right? Like, they're gonna come up with something. They're gonna be like, oh, we could just, I don't know, we could just beam him out of him or something like that. But I was like, well, no, wait, we can't do that because we can't detect them or something like that. So it's like, okay, there's got to be a way. Like, my mind is racing for solutions, and I have the script right in front of me. Uh-oh. Did we lose him? Uh-oh. This is what happens live. Matt? Am I still on? Yes. Still on. Hey, give me a sec, Captains. Let's see if we can get him back. Still see him on there. Oh, give me a sec, Caps. We'll be right back. We'll see if we can get him back here.
Scotty, beam me up.
I think we're back.
You're back.
Oh,
we're back.
what happened there? You see, someone said this is your punishment for what you did. No, sorry. We left off.
That was Meg's.
we left off you getting a little excited.
It was just me like running away because I didn't want to answer it.
You had the script in your hand.
All right, so yeah, so the first thing that I did I read that. Something's gonna happen to save Hemmer, right? Right? This is what's gonna happen. Next page, Hemmer falls into the chasm. I slowly, calmly put the script down. I walked over to grab a drink, and then I hung out with that drink for a little bit. and yeah. And then I calmly went back, and I was like, okay, this is happening. I picked up, I kept reading the script. I was like, okay, this is where I get it. Sorry, I understand. It's okay. And then La'an leaves, and I put the script back down. I'm gonna go back to that drink. No, that script was great reading it for the first time, and it was really funny because right when I was done reading that script, not but like 30 minutes later, my editor texts me and says, "Hey, so did you read 9 yet?" I was like, yep.
Don't talk to me right now.
I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering, Wes. No, but yeah. But you know what? Honestly, I was kind of I kind of had a feeling like something like this was coming up, and it was mostly in 104. 104 made me a little nervous when Hemmer told Uhura, it's like, the end only comes when you have fulfilled your purpose. It provides meaning. And it's like, well, what was your purpose? And it was like, to fix what is broken. And me in my head, anytime I hear a character talk about like death or, just to me, I always think, okay, that character just sealed their fate. It's like something's going to happen to that character. I don't know when. I don't know when it's going to happen, but this character is going to trip Tucker out at some point. But just when's it going to happen? But yeah, no, but that's the thing, I mean, it's got to be really tricky, writing characters on an origin series, because as an audience, at some point the characters have to make room for the legacy crew that's going to eventually take over the Enterprise, and it's like, but and it's like, what happens to the current crew that we're watching right now? It's like, do they continue to serve in Starfleet? Are they going to just go their own way, or do they die? And it's like, and as a viewer, it's just, like, kind of like, watching origin series. It's like, it's kind of really exciting because, you watch an episode and you're just like, as an audience member, for me as an audience, it's like I watch this and I'm thinking, okay, is this a day that something's going to happen to somebody? And it's a really fun feeling. It's this really fun, like, excitement. It's just like, something's going to happen. It's just like, do we get some more time with these characters? Do we love it so much? It's like, so reading it, like 9, it's like, I was thrown. I was really shocked. And, it was, Hemmer is like, she's one of my favorite characters. I mean, it's just, I already said, like, we made a connection because I both feel like we're both engineers. So he always had that little one notch more than all the other characters on the show. Only because of that. Because, me as a somewhat of an engineer, as a video engineer, and Hemmer as an engineer. So that's why. But yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
To cause so much heartbreak.
Well, here's the thing, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because you read the script, so that was going to happen regardless if you were working on it or not. Like, you
yeah, absolutely.
So, and speaking to, if you'll allow me, and maybe this will be some feedback for you, just as a viewer from me, right?
Yeah.
So episode 4, I told you that I ranked episode 1 as number 1.
Mm-hmm.
When episode 4 aired, that went to number 2. So number 4 is ranked 2 for me, and
fun.
because of La'an, because of Pike, because of Hammer, everything in that. And
the Enterprise. You have to include the Enterprise too, because the Enterprise is as much of a character as Bridge Crew. You know?
Well, and that's what I keep saying throughout all of the reviews that I do, is that I'm glad Strange New Worlds is treating the Enterprise as its character by just shots, giving it shots. And
it has, it's definitely another character.
The one favorite scene of mine is when, right before they're going to drop the torpedo, how it kind of comes above, you know, the Gorn ship, and it kind of gave me sort of vibes of Wrath of Khan, right? That's sort of like in that thing, but
their pattern is very two-dimensional thinking.
Well, when you talked about it though, see, that gives me another insight. The inspiration of that is from submarine type sort of situation, and I get it now. The ping, the sonar, I now I understood it. But for number 4, it became where I connected with La'an again instantly off of 2 and 3, where I disconnected with her. But 1 and 4, La'an was great. Like, she was just on point. Her, you know, that you get a little bit more backstory. You see her brother, you know, and then there's that little moment though there as well, which because I've always said I had a hard time connecting with Spock, and that's because, well, we all know the shoes that he's filling is very, very big shoes to fill, right? Yeah. Is when La'an figured something, when they mind melded, right? She felt something from Spock, and I loved that moment, because all he wanted to get out of there, because she got into his head too, or she noticed something there. So that episode for me was really...
That's a great callback to Discovery too. Like, it's that moment where, you know, you'll hear it in the background where, you know, La'an, because they're sharing their thoughts, you know, La'an is like, she stands there, and then you hear, you know, Michael, you know, he'll burn him, and it's just like, you know, there's the whole thing where he says in Vulcan, is like, so I love you, and I love you too, brother, and it's just, it was such a great addition to that episode, and it's just a great callback to that moment where it's like, that was the last time Spock got to see his sister, you know, and it's just like, he's just like, yeah, we have to stop. It's like, we gotta get out of this right now.
We're done.
Yeah, but
episode 4 was good. I that's why I said I ranked it secondly. Going to episode 6, I was not prepared for it, and I think you said the word creepy.
I don't think anybody was prepared for that.
Didn't see that. I don't. Maybe just me. I did not see that. It just sort of. And what got me too was he was so confident up to the point of the kid actor, the elder servant, was so confident, and I thought it was gonna break the moment he saw the previous body, right? And because it was.
It didn't look great.
It didn't look great. That's the realization. He's like, oh, and then he started breathing. So I thought something was going to happen, but no, he still accepted it.
No,
right?
he was, you know, he's committed. I mean, this was what
his purpose is.
It was his purpose, and you know, it's like not a lot of people will agree with it, and it's like, yeah, it's a horrible thing to do, to put a child through this, you know, ordeal, this torture to keep the lights on this city.
The torture is to like, okay, if we're talking about in the universe of Star Trek, it would be torture to us, the ones that are outside the situation, but to them, this is their life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And who is? I thought there was going to be that Federation moment where Pike was going to do something, but really he realized there's nothing that he can do.
No, I love that. I love that that the first servant had that just reaction to the, you know, the previous first servant. It's just kind of like getting, you know, it's like jumping off a diving board for the first time. It's like, all right, I've been trained for this. It's like, I know this is what I've accepted was going to happen. And you're like, right when you're standing on the edge of that diving board, you're just like, I don't know if I can do this. And, you know, it's just like, to get those jitters, but then he like snaps back and he's just like, no, this is why I'm here, you know? And it's really heartbreaking. And I you know, it's almost like, I wonder if like the audience like knew that was coming, and it's not so much that, you know, that it's like, is the question is like, is this child going to get like thrown? Is almost like, is Pike going to be able to save this child or not? For me, like watching it, you know, at that point, then I was like, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, is Pike? All right, Pike's gonna be able to save him, right? You know, something's gonna happen. He's gonna sit in the chair, and Pike's gonna like get him out of the chair and be like, okay, no, you don't need to do this, or whatever. We can find a solution or whatever. And it's like, now it just becomes, can Pike save him or not? And that just becomes a new thing where it's like, I'm on the edge of my seat, you know, just like reading this is like, oh my gosh, he could probably pull this off. He could take these guards. This is Pike. he can knock these guards out. But no, yeah, I mean, no, it was. So it happened exactly how it should have happened, and it's just like that's a great 6 is a great episode. It's a really, really fun episode.
It's ranked 3rd for me, definitely.
Yeah,
it did rank pretty high for me.
Thank
too.
you.
And well,
it's a fun one.
And that's before I even knew, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And I think I've said it always, and I'll continue to say it. I've been able to sort of been taken into this different level of emotional engagement with the show, right? It's taking me on an emotional roller coaster ride for me personally, and you know, 1, 4, and 6 has been really, really great for me, and I do enjoy it. Now, 9, sir.
Yeah. Well, we already talked about Hemmer.
you had a choice.
But you know what? There's so many. I had no choice whatsoever. No choice. But no, you know. But there's a lot of other great things that just happened in 9 too. You know, it was just like it was necessary. You know, it's like this is what got Uhura to the Uhura that we come to know. It's like, you know, it's. You know, this is what I love about the end of 9. You know, we just pull back on that shot where Uhura's looking at her future station.
From the trailer.
And
character trailer.
And another really a great part, and this is like, you know, for the sound, is putting in those sounds of the old school, the beeps and the boops of the old school communication station. You know, you just hear that, and the audience, with me as an audience, you just sitting there and you're like, this is you have no idea who you are about to become. This is like this amazing legacy character, and this is where it all begins for you. It's like the death of Hemmer, but it's the birth of, you know, the Uhura that we know. You know, she's found her purpose. You know, Hemmer, he fixed what was broken, you know. And I love that line. It's one of my favorite lines, and just his Bruce's delivery of it too is just like, to fix what is broken is so good. But also that, you know, there's a lot of other great things happening. We also have the death of Duke, which is great. I love it. Man,
oh my gosh,
had so much fun cutting that death scene. Like, yeah. We get to kill a red shirt.
Red shirt, and then of course Chris Chia, Ensign Chia, I think that was her name.
Yeah, and Chia, yep.
And Chia. So I mean that again, 9. I'm still.
Those are some fun deaths.
Well, here's what the mood there definitely changed with the music, and it really got me. I mean, a lot of these episodes got me to the edge of my seat, but this one particularly, I was like, you know, I found myself just going closer to the screen, going, what's gonna happen, you know? And I thought it was really well done. As much as that last part did hurt, even La'an's departing from the Enterprise was well done. And again, it's the ranking of this one is hard because I said this before, and I said this to Bruce, that any scene that he's been in, it's just felt so weighted. It's just so, the delivery, his presence on the screen really weighted that scene.
It's very powerful.
It's very powerful. It's just very short lines, but his delivery was great. And then when I told him that, he's like, well, he says they're great writers. They're just great
Absolutely.
And I love how he actually gave that props. And obviously, you know, he's not going to go, oh, well, thank you. But still, it was still him delivering it, right? So it's again, like kind of what you said, is it's like teamwork. It's a crew working together.
Yeah, it's a combination of them. And I love how you mentioned music too, because Nami is she brings so much to the table, just to this show, and in composing this show. And it's just like there are days where I just listen to all of, you know, her music that she sends back with the show, and it's just it's really good. And just like all like the nods to, like, you know, the previous, you know, just all like the little Easter eggs that they put into composing the show. It's just really great. I have like a really fun score from her is the scene with Hemmer and Uhura when they're in the Peregrine's engineering, basically like powering it back up. And, you know, she's talking about, it's like, I'm just kind of coasting. And it's like, well, what are you coasting about? And if you can try and listen to it without like, without the dialogue, like overtaking it, if you can hear the music, it is one of my favorite scores that she's done so far. It's such an amazing scoring. I love like even like the pilot, even the first episode, she's got some just amazing work. I love Nami's work. It's so good. When that comes out as a soundtrack, like Strange New World soundtrack, I'm instantaneously like downloading that because it's so good. But yeah, no, it's a lot of her scoring really drives a lot of the scenes, and, you know, especially in 9, because 9 is just so terrifying, and it's just so like, there's just moments like that scene where Spock is you know, he's kind of investigating, and you see the blood trail that like goes to the vent, and like Pike's like scares the crap out of him. Like, what I love that line. I love that line so much. I didn't realize you're so jumpy.
She's like, but I like that scene too as well. And I'm not, you know, because of course we, like what you said, there's going to be a point where this is going to transfer over, right? There's going to be a point. We know that. And maybe this is one of the reasons why I've said before, I don't like it when shows go backwards in time. I just don't. But this one, I really am making an exception. Now, that scene, you had Pike, M'Benga, and Spock. How cool. To me, it was so cool that it sort of almost is showing you what's to come, right? As Spock tying in from the old crew to the new crew. To the new crew, you know? But like, where it's going to be, of course, Kirk, McCoy, and Spock, right? So
the legacy crew,
right? The legacy crew. So I liked that aspect. Of course, Spock lost his marbles here in this one. I thought that was pretty powerful. But Chapel, I will say,
great yell.
Chapel, she is, wow. The range of her acting, the range of what she can convey to you as a viewer of what she's going through. Those moments when she's like, I'm getting goosebumps. Those moments.
It's a very emotional scene when she like kind of consoles like Spock after he punches a hole in the. I thought that was great, but no, just that whole thing where it's like, I can't control this, and just like something's wrong with me. It's like, no, this is your human side, and it's just like, but then you just get this moment that they're like, they're really having a moment together, and just like and he just kind of walks away, and
you
just
can
like
feel
the
her
looks
longing.
that you can absolutely. It's a great scene.
That face to face
between Ethan and Jess, and it's really great. There's so much, there's so many layers to 9, and I know like the main focus is going to be on, you know, like Heber, because that's just like the big thing, but there's just so many like amazing layers to 9, and just like the whole like and a lot of great other fun characters. A fun fact about 9, the actress who plays Oriana is the sister to the actor who played the first servant, which is really awesome. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're the first servant and Oriana from 9. They're brother and sister. I thought that was really cool.
Two for one.
Yeah. But what's really crazy, I didn't realize this until I watched The Expanse season 6. Do you watch The Expanse at all? No. Okay. It's a really good show. But anyways, season 6, they're in season 6 as brother and sister. And that released before Strange New Worlds did. And when I saw them on screen, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the first servant. And that's Oriana. And I was like, that's wild. And then I looked into credits and they shared the last name. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're brother and sister. I did not make that connection at all.
And they're in your episodes.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really exciting. And then I go on Twitter and they say like, hey, check out my sister's in this. And it's just like, yeah, and it just kind of confirmed it. And then I went to IMDb and I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, they're brother and sister. That's so awesome. So, and Emma, I think her name is, she did an amazing job too. And oh my God, Buckley. I think we have some of like the best animatronic just puppeteers in like the industry working on this show. I mean, going back to like the Shepherd and Buckley.
I mean, that was CGI. I thought the Shepherd was CGI.
No, it was really funny because we did too. We did too. Well, no, because that wasn't our episode. So that was episode 2. So you know, when we finally got a chance to see it, we saw it and it was like, man, the CGI for this creature is awesome. And then we found out, I was like, oh no, that wasn't CGI. That was practical. That was all animatronics and, you know, puppeteering and stuff like that. And it was just like, wow, this show has just gone.
I really think it has. Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible. What that team does on this show. I mean, Buckley's character is just amazing, just to be in that costume, and just the actor to be in there too, because you know that thing's got to be heavy. Yeah, hot and heavy, and it's like you know, hats off to the actor that's in that suit, because you know that's got to be some strength.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I am also liking is it's very practical, and we've been so used to CGI that it's sort of, I thought it was CGI, but it worked.
And there's some things where you have to like augment a little bit, you know, just to kind of, you know, it's like you can't. It'd be a little difficult to get like the crazy Gorn blood flowing in his veins, you know. That's VFX, but
the noise in my ear, I was like,
yeah,
that was so.
Always makes people uncomfortable.
The other thing for 9 though, that here's the thing, we know the first time we saw the Gorn was with Kirk, was it not? On TOS.
Yeah, the arena.
In the arena, knowing that that's them in a puppet suit, essentially there. 9 made them actually feel like a threat. Like an actual threat.
Absolutely. You know, that was the one thing where, you know, and I think in the Ready Room, Henry kind of made note to this, was that we're gonna break away from canon a little bit on this, and you know, and that's okay. That's okay, because it's like the Gorn, unfortunately, have always been like the joke, the biggest joke as a threat, you know, because it's like. Yeah, it's like this is very the slow motion fighting, the Gorn walking around like going, and it's like, you know, the poor Gorn, we never get to see him again except for like in video games, and I think we see him in Enterprise. They tried to amp him up again and make him a bit more threatening, but now they are no longer a joke. Like they are very serious. They are very serious in this. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice, and I know a lot of people they hold canon like very sacred, but sometimes it's necessary to break away from it. It's just like, I know like the line from a good example is the line in the pilot when Spock and Pike are in the turbo lift going up, and he was just like, talking to Spock, like, well, I'm just not really used to having my number one be somebody other than Una, which is basically the line. I can't remember the line exactly, but that's kind of like a retcon line. This is like a line where they said that in the pilot for the Cage, but it was not an okay line. It was like, well, I never expected my first officer to be a woman. And it's like, what? It's like, obviously, no, that line does not work. It didn't even work back then, it's like, and it's like, and it's like you're kind of breaking canon from that, and it's okay. Sometimes it's good to break away to just to kind of like, it was a different kind of writing. They didn't really know how to write certain things back then, and it's like, it's okay. So it's like, so I'm okay. And it's like, it's nice that, they're giving the Gorn rebirthing the Gorn into something way more threatening and stuff like that. And I don't really know like how the Gorn are in like video games, like if they're kind of like, are we kind of breaking from that to, well, I did see like the General Gorn, but he's in like this crazy cloak with the lizard head, and he's very calm.
He's a guard.
Maybe once the Gorn go through puberty, they just kind of get, okay, we're not going to be like.
They calm down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So crazy. So
in Star Trek Online, they're part of they're in the Alliance. So we're all friends. We're all buddies. So the ones that I showed you there on Kronos, they're like guards for a door. Literally, that's what they are. So, but again, knowing that, but still seeing what happened at 9 was, however you want to look at it. For me personally, like I said, it made them feel like a threat. Now,
they're
of
terrifying.
course, it did pull from. For me, it pulled from Predator. It pulled from Aliens.
There's a lot of inspiration.
I don't necessarily mind that some people didn't like that. It's like, and I think this goes back to a conversation you and I had back off screen before we started. And goes to another question I'm going to ask about negative feedback. For me, if you don't like this, you don't have to watch this. You said it already yourself.
Well, it's not so much that you don't need to like. It's like, don't watch the show. It's like, Star Trek is so. At this point now, there's Star Trek for everyone, and I know that there's fans out there who don't like particular series. I know people who don't like TNG. I know people who don't like TOS. And it's like there's so much Trek out there that it's like there's a show for people who like episodic. There's a show for people who like serialized Star Trek. There's a show for people who like kids Star Trek. Show for people who like animation. Adult humor Star Trek. It's like there's a Star Trek for everyone, and I think that's the beauty about what Alex is doing to the franchise. And it's like, just we're giving the opportunity that everyone can enjoy like their Star Trek, and it's like, there's tons of you can always revisit your TOS or your TNG. It's like it's never gonna, it's not like it's gonna go off the air. It's never gonna be shown again. It's always gonna be around. So
no, you're right. I think for most part, TNG is always gonna have a part. When you're talking about Discovery there earlier, I don't personally like Discovery, but I respect it because it started this,
and it's really important to like the Trek universe too.
Well, no, it is. It definitely is, and that's just my own thing. It doesn't mean that I hate it, right? Again, the reason why I respect it a lot is I think that Star Trek Online.
I think that's the thing that that's the problem with ranking things.
Yeah,
there's always something that's going to be in last place, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad show. It's just unfortunately it's at the bottom. But it's still like a good show. So it's like it's an incredible show. But I don't know. As far as people have issues with the Star Trek series that they're watching. It's like that's the beauty about Star Trek right now is and when I mean by like adult, as far as like I mean like Lower Decks, it's like obviously it's adult humor. It's like I can't show my 5-year-old Lower Decks. It's like not really appropriate for a 5-year-old.
It's funny though. I like Lower Decks though.
I love Lower Decks.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, Lower Decks is so great. But yeah, it's but yeah, there's so much Trek happening right now. So it's like, yeah, when I usually read like, a lot of stuff on Twitter and just like negative comments or anything like that, it's like, they have their shows that they can gravitate back to if they need to, and we're gonna keep making this show, and it's there's probably going to be an episode that they'll like, and they'll just it's like, I can't say that we convert all the people who talk negatively about the show, but there are going to be like episodes that tons of people just love, and the show is doing fantastic right now. I mean, it's just like everyone's just, I mean, it just makes me feel really good, just see like the reviews and comments that people have about our show, and it's just it's just very exciting. I'm just glad everyone, because everyone is working like really hard just to make something that that people will love and enjoy, and so it's exciting, and maybe it just takes time. It's like, I remember like when I believe it was one of DS9, if we're talking about like shows that were kind of on my lower rank, DS9 was that was like for me, because season 1 and 2 I had a very difficult time watching. Same. Because we're on this one location, we're kind of stuck in this location, we don't go anywhere, and this is coming from TNG, which is like, we're going everywhere. We're on a starship. Every place is a new location. And then we get to DS9. We're on the same spot, the same scenarios, everything. But so season 1 and 2 weren't my favorite for DS9. But once season 3 hit, and once we entered the Dominion War, and it became kind of like serialized Star Trek now, then I like really loved it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. The evolution, and just and that show got super serious. It was insane. It got serious, but it also had its like fun moments, where they had like the Ocean's 11 episode, where they're all like trying to do like the heist episode. It's like, it's still doing fun stuff like that, but it is a very serious arc for this series. But yeah, it's like, but I love the episodic storytelling. It's like, and I love serialized storytelling too. But it's nice. I feel like it's nice. Like, a lot of people are really enjoying the episodic, because it's just, they could skip an episode if they want. You can technically jump from 3 to 6, and you won't feel like you're like missing anything. But also, you'll never really feel like you're missing anything, because we put recaps in on all the episodes to catch people up. To what's going on, with this character. So when something happens, you're just not kind of like completely thrown off. So it doesn't feel like you have to watch, from start to finish. If maybe some people just don't have time to, and I get it. I mean, it's hard to binge watch 170 episodes of TNG. It's like, I'm gonna watch all of DS9. It's like, there's 170 some episodes. That's a lot. That's a lot to get through, especially like with like how they did the format back then with like 24 episodes a season. I mean, it's hard to like rewatch that stuff. It's a lot of hours, a lot of hours. So
there is a lot of, I like what you said, and I think we agreed, and I said it too as well, that there is Trek for everyone out there. And I think what happens is, though, with new Trek, any fan wants new Trek. And when it's not the Trek that they're expecting, that's when the rage sometimes do have. I won't say rage, that's probably too much, but I've seen some comments, man. There's some rage induced in those.
There's
comments.
Some opinions.
there's some opinions, but
there's some opinions out there.
I'm really feeling that Strange New Worlds has, like what you said, taken it to a different level for me that I have not felt in a long time. It's new. It's great. It's new, but it's old. It's great. I said that Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah, because it's like I said, we haven't seen like episodic storytelling since Enterprise. That was like, now it was like 15 years or something. I can't remember when Enterprise went off the air, but that was the last time we saw something like that. And even Enterprise had a serialized storytelling. So
I felt like you can take this exact same crew, the exact same stories, just change it up a bit and put it post Voyager. I felt like, put it maybe the next Enterprise or whatever, but it just speaks to me how the care that went into this. I feel it from Bruce, I feel it from you when you're talking about it, and it shows in all of the episodes, personally for me, because each and every one I've liked so far. And yes, like what we said before, just because I have an episode ranked at the very bottom, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that, there has to be a ranking done.
Yeah.
And
it's really funny. That's why I try not to rank stuff. And usually I always give a lot of ties for first place and like second favorite.
You did that twice already.
I did that a lot. I do a lot of ties for first.
But that doesn't, so
it's a 12-way tie for first place.
And it's not necessarily bad if you do that, but if we're just talking for the sake of just having a discussion of, like what we're doing now, right? The Star Trek discussion, especially when it comes to Strange New Worlds, my ranking minus the last 2 episodes, because I still don't know where to put them, thanks to you. I mean, no, not thanks to you, but the ranking I have them at was I know that's as
not me.
I'm trying to find someone to blame. No, is 1, 4, 6, 7, 3, 5, 2, and I still don't know where to put 8, unfortunately, and 9. And I think what I'll do is I'll rank them obviously when the 10th one comes out, which looks good. But I'm gonna ask you one question here, Matt. We're looking at about, I don't know how you doing. We've been here almost 3 hours. How are you doing?
Oh my God. It's been here for a while.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I should probably get some. I think my family was texting me saying like, what are we gonna eat?
What do we do? So as much as maybe.
But this has been a lot of fun though. This has been really fun just talking about Trek. Also, I can tell like the light. I can also tell like the sun is going down because the stream is getting significantly darker. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because we're talking about episode 9 or.
Well, it maybe is a mixture of both, but. If anything, before heading on, and again, I don't want to keep you. If we have family, of course. We've been here. I think we went over, but I personally want to thank you for coming on here, and I'm been so honored and to have been able to meet you.
Likewise.
So what we're going to do is, 1, ask if we can do this again sometime in the future, but also 2, what we're going to want to do is we'll make sure that we put all of your information, especially captains, if you are on Twitch, please give a follow to SilverMedalTavern, because we're going to try to also play some board games with him at one time, because that's what he does, and it looks fun. I just have never tried it, but hey, before we go,
I would love to have you here at the tavern, over on a stream one day. As you can see, I have many Star Trek board games behind me. We can play a very good warm up Star Trek game, very easily to stream back and forth.
Sure.
I think it would have a lot of fun. And who knows, maybe after you play a Star Trek board game, your background will look like this.
Maybe
you will fill your house with board games.
But no, I appreciate your time so much. Thank you. Before we go,
thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Can we give our captains a salute before we go? There's that one too, and then we'll do this one too, of course. So
I'll do this one because that's what Hemmer was doing. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm just. That's true. I'm not.
No, thank you so much again, Matthew. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And,
no, thanks for having me here, and thank you. Thank you everybody for you and everyone watching. Thanks for watching the show. I mean, like I said, we really put a lot of heart and soul into this show, and the writers, the producers, the creators, everybody who works on the show, they are just.
Oh, one sec.
Gonna see if we can get him back here quickly. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, sorry. No, they can hear you still. Sorry, they can hear you.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I know Zoom. We're gonna have to do some Discord stuff now.
Yes, next time.
You're gonna have to do Discord now.
We are going to.
No, but yeah, everyone, seriously, I know I'm off. I'm in spirit now. I'm actually probably. Am I behind? Am I still behind Z?
You are going to be right now.
No, seriously, everybody, thank you. Just thank you so much for watching, and you know, we all just really appreciate it. We all like love hearing your feedback and just, you know, listening to your responses to the show, and you know, enjoy the rest of season 1. I know it's coming to an end, and we're all going to be very sad. But you know, everyone, season 2, it's coming.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's coming.
Let's go. We're gonna be super excited. But again, thank you so much, Matt.
No, thank you.
And we will do this again.
Awesome. Take care of yourself, Z, and
yes,
captains. Live long and prosper.
LAB, sir. Wow. Wow. So, captains, we're going to upload this to the YouTube channel in 4 parts. So, because there's a lot of, but I think it was great. But that was one of the greatest. So what we're going to do is, in the description, we're going to leave SilverMedalTavern's Twitch channel. Go follow him there, and maybe you'll see us playing some board games with him. So we're going to call it there for this segment portion on this note.
Live long and prosper.
We had to do that. We had to do that. All right. Captains, holy, I didn't realize. You know what? We only planned for like an hour. We only planned on an hour. But that was fun. That was so great. To everyone that came, I see Id, Master Dude, Musin. Hello. We'll give those
Admiral,
out.
if you will come with me.
Chris, I see Chris, Benjamin, that was amazing. Well, no, seriously, captains, thank you so much for stopping by. That was, you know, I feel almost the same kind of after the Bruce interview that did that actually just happen? But it maybe because we had more time to talk, I really felt like I got to know him, and we probably could have gone forever if I didn't talk about the time. But it was really a good sort of chance again to get closer. I feel like every time I do some of these, it's sort of just it gets me closer to Star Trek in a little way. You can see who's a fan and willing to... Yes, exactly. I saw that, and really, it was such a great opportunity to hear it from his side, to hear what he does as an editor, to hear all of what he does in his part. And I love how he compared, even him, he loved being, you know, the Hammer, but he also compared that whole engineering thing, and I absolutely loved it. His smiling, the way that he shared that emotional moment here, that was really great, because it felt very raw in a sense, but it also felt like we can go on forever. And I think we both lost track of time, but I think, again, it was just one of the greatest opportunities that I could have. And he kind of touched on it a little bit, saying, you know, it depends on who you meet from with these things. And I'll just say thank you so much. So much again. And, you know,
if that wasn't sort of segmented, you know, via the Zoom call, that would have been hilarious, where we probably could have gone forever. But no, that was great, and I do hope to have him back. He actually has invited me onto his stream, and I think this is what we will definitely do, is go onto his stream, play some more, because all he said I needed was a face cam. Well, there we go. Wow, to be able to talk to him about the episodes that he worked on, that was so great. And he's such a great guy, and for that to happen to him, to work on his dream job, which is Star Trek, which all of us love in our own little way, I thought that was really great. You know, for these types of things to just sort of give us an opportunity to talk more Trek in a different way, I feel like, again, like I said earlier, it's gotten me closer to Trek in a sense where I feel connected more now than I have been before. Even TNG is still my favorite, but Strange New Worlds, man, that's ranking up pretty quickly. So we're gonna see what episode 10 does and where we're gonna end up ranking that. But I do love it. And again, Matt, you're still watching, thank you so much. I am very appreciative of the time you spent here, feel the show, the episodes, and characters and people behind it. Yeah, it's great. I really, that was the whole purpose of this thing, was to try to see if we can feel another level in Star Trek. And you know, it's easy to just kind of talk about what we see on screen, but it's also fun to kind of know what's behind, you know, how things work behind the scenes. And I don't think I've ever seen an interview with a Trek editor that is truly unique. Utter unique perspective. Exactly. Is that perspective that I wanted to kind of get, and I think we got it. Not only that, Benji, but we got some feels from him. He was able to sort of share with us something very personal to him, you know, and that was not sort of the purpose of that, but that kind of happened, you know, and I'm really glad that did happen, because it was so great. So I feel like, again, we could have talked forever, and I hope we have another opportunity. We'll make sure that we take his sort of invitation to be on his stream, because he's also a streamer too, which is awesome. And again, that's how we met. That's how we met, through Twitch. So yeah, the truth from people and more. Yeah, I respect it when people can just sort of, not that I didn't respect it, but I mean, you know, just put their heart on their sleeve, you know, just let it out. And for something that we all love, it's great to just get that perspective from everyone. Right, like what you're saying, Ben, and it really, that's just another level. So we've seen from an actor point of view, from an editor point of view, you know, and it's just, you can tell that there's just love and passion for it. You know, that's just truly amazing. And I hope, again, like I said, we get to do more of these, because it's absolutely, for me, mind-opening. And like I said, kind of gets us closer to the Star Trek world, which, again, you know, I absolutely love and adore. And we all do. So, that was good. I didn't realize we were going to go 3 hours. I did not realize we were going to go 3 hours. I was hoping maybe an hour and a half, got a little bit more. That was good. Me like that. So I appreciate you, Caps, stopping by, but I think we're gonna call it there. Love and appreciate them more, express them. Yes. Sometimes I can't articulate that, but you captains, and even him and others can definitely articulate that better. But you know, it's just nerding out. I think it still can be put down to the point of still nerding out. You know, still being able to just enjoy Star Trek and enjoy Star Trek in a way that it's on a different level. You know, congrats again on the awesome. Oh, thanks. I mean, when you nerd out for 8 hours because you have fun. Yeah, it's because you're having fun. Thank you, Master and Captains. Thank you so much for stopping by. I know that was long, but I hope it was super interesting. It was good. I felt like we had a great conversation, and like I said, hopefully it gave us a different perspective. And I was kind of hoping, now that I saw the time, I was hoping Greg was going to start to stream. I haven't been able to raid him for a bit here. Captains both on Twitch and on YouTube, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. On YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube Bridge. We're going to strive to do this. We're going to strive to do more of this, definitely, and to be more involved in the Star Trek universe more than I ever thought I would be. It's just great, and the opportunities we'll try to keep chasing, definitely. What's the hold up? Yeah, I know. If he's not on, we'll just go raid someone new, or we haven't seen before, or we haven't raided before. I feel like I can have like a pick of who we can, because you know we were sort of just chatting really at this point. I don't think Greg's gonna shoot. Oh, he doesn't. I thought he was, but Captains, we're just gonna pick someone who has sort of rated us here and there, and we'll give back the love towards them, because they had shown us some love. So the question is who, because there's a lot here that we can sort of show love to. Oh, you know what? Why don't we work nights? I thought for some reason he was streaming at least both weekends there, but it is what it is. So we'll pass on the Star Trek feels. How's that? We'll pass on the Star Trek feels to someone who can use some Star Trek love. And I see face cams here. It looks like they're new, and I love their names. So Captains, we're gonna go see Red Shirt Geeks. Why not pass that love that way? So tonight we will we'll just log on to just do our daily. I'm a little pooped out, but I didn't realize how long that was gonna go. But that was just so great. I can't. The thankfulness I feel, the humbleness that I'm just, wow. And I hope I get to catch him there. Cthulhu, I saw that command. I will go get that. Wow. I have no words. So we're gonna start this raid. Let's pass on the Star Trek love. The Star Trek love. So Captains, again, I appreciate you stopping by. That was such an awesome stream. See, I can't even talk. I'm so tired. But in a good way. I'm tired in a good way. So we will call it that, and we'll leave it on this note. Captains, we'll be back tomorrow. And I think we're going to continue on with our Rise of Feels. Rise of Feels. We may do a build video, or a video on stream, just so that we can put some content there on the YouTube Bridge. But with that said, Captains,
live long and prosper.